When my daughter was found after being kidnapped, one of her kidneys was missing. Due to a post-operative infection, she ran a persistent high fever and died in the emergency room. On the 7th day after my daughter's passing, my husband's first love suddenly appeared before me, her eyes smiling. "Thank you for giving birth to such a good daughter. She donated a kidney for my son." That's when I found out she was already pregnant with Shin Mu-yuan's child when she went abroad. The so-called kidnapping was nothing but a kidney harvesting scheme orchestrated by Shin Mu-yuan himself, all to save his and his beloved son. Trembling with rage, I tried to call the police, only to be pushed off the high-rise by Shin Mu-yuan and her. With my dying breath, I heard Shin Mu-yuan whisper in my ear, "Only with you gone can the title of Mrs. Shin be rightfully returned to Euro." When I opened my eyes again, my daughter was snuggling in my arms. In this life, it won't just be by Euro's son with kidney disease who dies, they will all have to die. One, Mom, Mommy, the childish voice of Xingjing echoed in my ears. My eyes snapped open. "Mom, I want to go to the aquarium to see the big shark. Will you take me?" Xingjing's soft little hand tugged at my arm, her voice sweet and milky as she cooed. My tears welled up without warning, and I pulled her tiny body into a tight embrace. A wild, overwhelming joy at having her back flooded through me, only to be replaced in the next instant by a bottomless fear. I was terrified that all of this was just a dream. My daughter, my darling daughter Xingjing, is gone. She died right there on the cold operating table. My baby, Xingjing patted my back gently. "What's wrong, Mama? Don't cry, Mama. Please don't cry." I held Xingjing and cried for a long time, finally able to be certain this was not a dream. I had been reborn. I was reborn on the very day Xingjing asked me to take her to the aquarium. In my past life, it was just when Xingjing said she wanted to see the sharks that Shin Mu-yuan returned. To my surprise, he smiled and said, "Xingjing wants to see the sharks. How about Daddy takes you?" I stared at Shin Mu-yuan in astonishment. Xingjing is 5 years old, and from the day she was born until now, Shin Mu-yuan has never once smiled at her. He doesn't like our daughter. He's barely even spoken to her. Xingjing always asks me, "Mommy, doesn't Daddy like me?" Every time she asks, I hold back my heartache, pull her into my arms, and say, "But Mommy loves you, Xingjing. Mommy loves you so much." So when Shin Mu-yuan offered to take Xingjing to the aquarium, Xingjing nodded eagerly like a little chick pecking at rice. Yes, I want to go see the sharks with Daddy. Yay, Daddy's taking me to see the sharks." That's just how children are. If it were an adult treated with such utter neglect and cold indifference by their own father, they'd likely lose all affection and even grow to resent him. But not Xingjing. She is happy and content, as if her father had never once ignored her. But in the end, even though they went to the aquarium together, only Shin Mu-yuan came back. He told me the crowd was too dense and he got separated from Xingjing. Xingjing was lost. I searched for Xingjing like a madwoman for half a month. When she finally returned, she was missing a kidney, the wound became infected, and she ran a persistent fever, ultimately dying on the cold, sterile operating table. I hate Shin Mu-yuan, but I hate myself even more. At that moment, Shin Mu-yuan's cherished first love, by Euro, appeared before me. She told me that Xingjing's kidney was inside her son. Her son was Shin Mu-yuan. Xingjing wasn't lost. Shin Mu-yuan took her to an illegal clinic to remove one of her kidneys to save their son. Trembling with rage, I tried to call the police, but Shin Mu-yuan and Bai Euro worked together to push me off the high-rise building, because only with my death, only then could Bai Euro rightfully become Mrs. Shin, and their illegitimate child could rightfully enter the Shin family's household. 2. Xingjing wants to see the sharks. How about Daddy takes you? Shin Mu-yuan's words were exactly the same as in his past life. He had already walked over, his loving gaze resting on Xingjing's little face. He really did look like a good father. Even in my past life, I never once doubted him. This time, Xingjing didn't immediately agree with Shin Mu-yuan. She continued to look at me with concern. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Only then did Shin Mu-yuan notice I was crying. He paused for a moment before asking, "Yeah, what's the matter?" I gave Xingjing a kiss on the cheek. "Mommy's okay." Shin Mu-yuan asked again, "Xingjing, you said you wanted to see the sharks. Daddy happens to be free. How about I take you?" Xingjing blinked her big eyes, her gaze questioning as she looked at me. She was still worried about me, because I had just been crying. She didn't immediately agree like she did in her past life to go see the sharks she'd been longing for. "Mommy's really okay. If Xingjing wants to see the sharks, Mommy will take you tomorrow." Even if I had to live my life over, I would still try my best to fulfill every one of Xingjing's wishes. But what's more important is keeping Xingjing safe and sound. As for everyone else, then let them pay with their lives. Shin Muyuan wore a look of concern. You seem a bit unwell. You should rest at home. I'll take Xingxing myself tomorrow. I sneered inwardly. How utterly hypocritical. How did I ever fall for it in my past life? I wiped the tears from my face and gave Shin Muyuan a bright smile. I'm really fine. But what about you? Aren't you swamped with work? I can take Xinjin to the aquarium myself. Shin Muyuan paused, his expression faltering slightly. I'm sorry, I've been too busy lately. I'll make more time for Xinjin from now on. I'll take her myself tomorrow. It'll be a good chance for us to bond. Then let's all go together, I suggested sincerely. I think Xinjin would much prefer it if all three of us went as a family. Don't you agree? Under my steady gaze. Something flickered in the depths of Shin Muyuan's eyes before he gave a slow nod. Okay, he knew it too. If he still insisted on taking Xingxing out by himself after I'd said that, it would be very telling. Xingxing happily hugged me. Yay, tomorrow, I get to go see the sharks with mommy and daddy. The child's joy was genuine. It was already 9:30 at night, and she still couldn't fall asleep, pestering me to tell her a story. I lay down beside her and said, go to sleep early. We have to get up early tomorrow. Don't you want to go to the aquarium? Xingxing snuggled into my arms and said, Mommy, I love Mommy, and I love Daddy. A sharp pang hit my chest, and my breathing became difficult. So that's why Xingxing is so happy, because her dad paid attention to her. Shin Muyuan just gave Xingxing a smile, and she's over the moon, but that monster doesn't deserve to be her father. I gently patted Xingxing's back. Mommy loves you too, sweetheart. I love you so much. And so do Grandma and Grandpa. No matter what happens, my darling, you must always believe that there are so many people in this world who love you, because my Xingxing is the very best. My mommy is the very best too, Xingxing declared in her sweet, little voice. Mommy, I love you. I lowered my head and placed a gentle kiss on her forehead, hot tears welling up in my eyes once more. Only this time, I made sure Xingxing didn't see. 3. Shin Muyuan and I were university classmates. Right after graduation, he confessed his feelings to me. He told me he and Bayuro had broken up because they were incompatible, and he realized it was me he still had feelings for. I didn't give him an answer right away. With Bayuro having gone abroad, I didn't want him transferring his heartache onto me. Shin Muyuan's confession to me was the long-awaited response to my years of secret admiration. Shin Muyuan began to pursue me. Half a year later, once I was certain he had moved on from Bayuro, I agreed to become his girlfriend. He proposed to me right away. We skipped the dating phase altogether and went straight to the altar. At the beginning of our marriage, Shin Muyuan treated me fairly well, but after I got pregnant, he started growing more and more distant. He even went off to develop overseas markets, sometimes not coming home for 6 months at a time. He wasn't even there when I was giving birth. After Xingxing was born, Shin Muyuan was utterly cold towards her. The way he looked at her wasn't like a father looking at his daughter at all. His mother even had the nerve to say my womb was useless, that I'd only produced a worthless burden. I gave her a piece of my mind. You're a woman yourself. How can you say such things about your own granddaughter? Do you think you're so much better? Shin Muyuan slapped me. My mother is your mother-in-law. You're elder. Since you married into the Shin family, you should be filial to her. How dare you talk back to her and speak to her like that? Apologize. In that moment, I realized Shin Muyuan never loved me at all. Everything from before, all the kindness, the happiness, the sweetness and romance, was just an illusion. It was all just a facade he created to lull me into a false sense of security. After he married me, he leveraged my family's support to expand the Shin group further and further. It finally dawned on me that Shin Muyuan had been using me all along. When I asked for a divorce, Shin Muyuan just stared at me coldly, his icy words dripping into my ears. One by one, Li Chang'an, think carefully. This is a critical moment for the alliance between our two companies. Countless eyes are watching, eager to tear us apart. Are you really sure you want to give them a helping hand right now? Do you truly not care at all about the blood, sweat, and tears your parents poured into this company? His words were like a pair of pale, skeletal hands, slowly peeling away his mask before my very eyes, revealing the wolfish ambition lurking beneath. I raised my hand and slapped him across the face. Shin Muyuan, you monster. In the end, I never brought up divorce again, and so, the two of us just carried on. Day after day, he still travels abroad frequently. As Xingxing grows day by day, with her by my side, my parents are in good health. And our family business has truly reached new heights since partnering with the Shin group. I've come to feel that this marriage hasn't given me nothing. I no longer care about Shin Muyuan, that is, until the moment he suggested taking Xingxing to the aquarium. If he can truly be a good father in the future, I'm willing to let go of my resentment towards him. yet this opportunity cost Xingxing her life. It wasn't until right before I died that I found out Shin Muyuan and Bai Yuro had never actually broken up. After marrying me, every single time Shin Muyuan went abroad, he was actually going to be with Bai Yuro. Bai Yuro's son is actually over half a year older than Xingxing. I put away the memories of my past life. In this life, I will absolutely protect Xingxing. As for my marriage with Shin Muyuan, divorce is not an option, it's till death do us part, splitting assets, that's not happening. Everything goes to Xingxing. The next morning, Shin Muyuan and I took Xingxing to the aquarium as planned. Xingxing was incredibly excited the whole way there, even strapped into her car seat. She couldn't sit still, swinging her little legs, her big eyes crinkled into happy crescents. I couldn't help but smile too. While the pain of losing Xingxing hadn't completely faded, the hollow ache in my chest was slowly being filled. I will never lose Xingxing again. At that thought, I instinctively glanced toward Shin Muyuan. The man's brow was lightly furrowed, lost in thought. I clenched my hands. The car came to a stop at the entrance to the ocean park. I bought a shark hair clip for Xingxing at the entrance and put it on her. So cute. Xingxing picked up another clip and handed it to me. Mommy, you wear one too. Let's match. Okay, I put one on myself. Xingxing then took another one and gave it to Shin Muyuan. Daddy, you wear one too. I want to match with both mommy and daddy. Shin Muyuan was looking down at his phone. Hearing this, he glanced up at Xingxing, a flicker of impatience crossing his features. But he put on the hairband anyway. You're so handsome, daddy. Xingxing gave Shin Muyuan a thumbs up. I like daddy like this. A trace of impatience still lingered between Shin Muyuan's handsome brows, but his expression faltered, and his gaze softened noticeably. Daddy likes Xingxing too, let's go. He picked up Xingxing and walked inside with me. Xingxing finally got to see the sharks and kept exclaiming, wow, it took us over 2 hours to finally emerge from the long tunnel. Shin Muyuan started glancing at his wristwatch from time to time. I knew he was waiting for a chance to ditch me and take Xingxing off on his own. After leaving the aquarium, Shin Muyuan, holding Xingxing, turned and asked me, are you tired? If you are, why don't you go rest at the cafe? I'll take Xingxing somewhere else to play for a bit. Feeling sorry for me, Xingxing chimed in, Mom, you should go rest. I'll go play with Dad. I let out a laugh and, meeting Shin Muyuan's earnest gaze, feigned a tone of contentment. This is the first time the two of us have taken Xingxing out together. No matter how tired I am, I can push through, Shin Muyuan said gently. There will be plenty more chances in the future. Oh, really? I raised an eyebrow, out of the corner of my eye. A swarm of reporters suddenly rushed over, thrusting their microphones toward Shin Muyuan and me. Mr. and Mrs. Shin, is today a special occasion? What brings you to the aquarium with your daughter? That's right, Mrs. Shin is usually the one seen out with your daughter. It's rare to see you both together. Is this an attempt to dispel the rumors about marital discord? It was clear that Shin Muyuan hadn't expected the media to follow them. He was caught off guard and froze. I smiled warmly at the camera. Please, just call me Chang'an. In the early years when Muyuan first took over the company, there was so much for him to handle, including overseas affairs. Naturally, he didn't have much time to spend with me and our daughter. Now that the company is stable, Muyuan has promised to make more time for our daughter. It's a way to make up for his absence during her childhood, something he deeply regrets and feels guilty about. The reporter then turned to Shin Muyuan. Mr. Shin, your wife has been doing all the talking. Would you like to add a few words? Shin Muyuan had shaken off his initial surprise and offered a faint smile. My wife is right, he said. She speaks for me. Then, he turned his head to look at me. I met his gaze, my smile widening until it reached my eyes. Muyuan also admitted he was wrong before. No matter how important the company is, it can't compare to our child. As parents, all we want is for our child to be healthy and happy. That's enough for us. Muyuan, right? Deep within Shin Muyuan's eyes, intense emotions churned, only to dissolve into a gentle smile. Yes, as long as the child is healthy and happy, that's all I could ever wish for. I turned back to face the camera, my smile deepening. My dear Xingxin will live a long, healthy, and happy life. As for his other child, still lying in a hospital bed right now, I wonder what Bai Yuro's reaction will be when she sees this. I'd really love to see it. 6. Bai Yuro's call came that very evening. Shin Muyuan took the call in his study, while I listened from outside. How was I supposed to know the media would show up? Someone's been tailing us the whole time. I couldn't make a move. Of course I'm worried. Xian is my son. Seeing him suffer in that hospital bed, how could I not be upset? I'll find another chance. What else can I do? I can't just drag Xingxing there by force, can I? Alright, just wait for my update. that was in front of the reporters. What was I supposed to say? Should I have told them my heart is with you and our son? What would that do to the company's image? Alright, I'll figure something out. Hearing that, I turned and went back to my room. Xingxing was still fiddling with the souvenirs she bought at the ocean park today. I sat down beside her. Sweetie, is there anywhere else you'd like to go? Mommy will take you anywhere. Xingxing smiled sweetly, like a summer ice cream cone. But I still have to go to school, Mom. Next time I'm on break, let's go to Zootopia. I gave Xingxing's chubby little cheek a gentle pinch. You already know about our new Zootopia. Alright then, next time. Mom, Grandma, and Grandpa will take you. And Dad too, Xingxing said, her eyes crinkling into happy crescents. I hugged her close. Dad is very busy and doesn't have much time. Maybe someday, then let Dad be busy. Mom and Grandma and Grandpa can take me. Xingxing's dark, sparkling eyes darted around, and she giggled, because I like Grandma and Grandpa more. Of course, the legendary special bond between grandparents and grandchildren is perfectly embodied in my parents. Sometimes they really spoil Xingxing. To the point of outright coddling. It makes me so angry just watching it. I've told them several times, but it's no use. When Xingxing was younger and had a fever, my dad, a man in his 50s, cried his eyes out, red and puffy. He was far less composed than my mom. Hearing her say that now, the last little bit of emptiness in my heart was finally filled. That way, if she ever loses her father, it won't be as painful. 7. Shen Muyuan left the house first thing the next morning. He was going to see his son. I arranged for 5 more bodyguards to shadow Xingxing and keep her safe. After all, she can't be by my side 247, she has school to attend. I also slipped a voice recorder and a GPS tracker into her backpack. Only after all that was done did I feel at ease. I went back to our family company and straight up told my parents about Shen Muyuan and Bai Yuro having a secret love child. My father's veins bulged on his forehead instantly. And he was ready to go settle the score with Shen Muyuan. My mother stopped him, and then told us because she wanted to discuss a strategy with us. If you go barging in now, you'll just tip him off. You'll be reminding him to transfer all his assets to that illegitimate son of his. What will Xingxing be left with then? My father went to the window to smoke, while I huddled with my mother to plan our next move. My mother is a renowned powerhouse in the business world. Shen Muyuan is no match for her tactics. I also mentioned my plans for what comes next. My dad came back after finishing his cigarette and a few quick puffs. Let's not send Xingxing to school for a while. We'll hire a tutor for her at home. There are so many kids getting sick these days anyway. I never agreed with her going to school in the first place. I thought it over and nodded, even with bodyguards. We can't be 100% certain of Xingxing's safety. So when I went to pick up Xingxing from school a little after 4 in the afternoon, I went ahead and excused her from class. I also hired some tutors to come to the house and teach her. I stayed on the sidelines, recording Xingxing, and even contacted reporters to come for an interview at our home. In the past, I kept Xingxing out of the public eye for her own safety. Now, exposing her to the public is still for her safety, just in case Shen Muyuan makes another move. Everyone will know what Xingxing looks like, making it easier to find her. Besides, I want the whole world to know that Xingxing is the sole heir of the Shen family. After all these maneuvers, our family's image of harmony and happiness has been firmly established. As a result, the stock prices of both the Li and Shen family companies have risen. Bai Yuro must have seen the news online too, and she had another huge blow-up with Shen Muyuan when Shen Muyuan returned. He carried an aura as dark and oppressive as a storm cloud. His voice was icy as he demanded, "Who gave you permission to expose Xingxing?" I gave a faint smile. "What are you so angry about? Are you worried about Xingxing's safety?" "Relax. I actually think the exposure makes her safer. Besides, both companies' stock prices have gone up, haven't they? Isn't that the whole point of our marriage?" Shen Muyuan's penetrating gaze lingered on my face for a long time, and the longer he looked, the more of a stranger I seemed to him. "What did you say? You married me just for the company?" I let out a derisive snort. "What's the matter, Shen Muyuan? Don't tell me you actually think there's any affection between us." I paused for just the right beat, then asked him in an even more sarcastic tone. "Was there ever any affection between us?" Shen Muyuan was incredulous. How could you suddenly become like this?" "I was just telling the truth. The moment your mother called Xingxing a worthless burden, and the moment you hit me for her sake, any feeling I had for you was already gone. That's the honest truth. Even before my rebirth, I only stayed here for the sake of the company's interests." So, seeing Shen Muyuan's look of utter disbelief, as if he didn't even recognize me, I found it rather amusing. What's so surprising about him, and what makes him think I should still have any feelings for him? 8. Everything my parents and I figured out is known only to the three of us and the heavens above. Shin Muyuan naturally couldn't fathom what I had in store for him. How could he possibly know I was settling a score from a past life? Because I had someone keeping an eye on Xingxing, Shin Muyuan panicked. His son's condition had deteriorated so severely due to the prolonged lack of a matching kidney donor that even if a suitable one were found now, it would be too late to save him. My father told me, that child has uremia. My dad sent me another video, recorded by someone he had stationed at the hospital. In the video, Bayuro was screaming and hysterically lashing out at Shin Muyuan, "You promised you'd save my son. Now, even with a kidney match, it's too late. Shin Muyuan, you owe me. You owe me. Xianxian is still so young, he can't die. If Xianxian really dies, I'll make your daughter pay with her life." I saw this and immediately threw my phone across the room, my whole body trembling. Even if she were cut into 1,000 pieces, it wouldn't be enough to satisfy my hatred. My mother tried to calm me down. "With your parents here, no one can hurt you or Xinjin. We just mustn't lose our composure." I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. "I know, don't worry. Mom and Dad, for Xinjin's sake, I won't do anything rash." When Shin Muyuan came home that evening, he looked terrible and utterly exhausted. I just glanced at him indifferently before looking away and continuing my meal with Xingxing. Xingxing, however, asked with concern, "Daddy, are you sick? What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" I cut Shin Muyuan off just as he was about to speak. "Daddy's fine. Xingxing, eat your food. No thinking about other things during dinner. Focus." Xingxing had reached the age where I started worrying about her eating habits. A single meal could take her 2 hours. Xingxing pouted, "Mommy, I want to watch cartoons while I eat." I put on a stern face on purpose. "No," Xingxing whimpered, "I'm going to tell Grandma and Grandpa that you're bullying me." "Mom," I couldn't help but laugh. "Hurry up and eat. You can watch half an hour of cartoons after dinner, but you have to finish your meal within that half hour." Shin Muyuan stood silently at the entrance to the dining room for quite a while before finally coming over to sit down. "Aunt Li, could you serve me a bowl of rice?" Aunt Li looked troubled. "Sir, I'm afraid there's no more rice left." A look of displeasure crossed Shin Muyuan's weary face. "What?" Seizing the moment while Xingxing was looking down at her food, I rolled my eyes and said with some impatience, "You never said you'd be back for dinner. I thought you'd eaten out. So I didn't save you a portion." Xingxing picked up her little cat bowl and handed it to Shin Muyuan. "Daddy, you can have mine." Without a word, Shin Muyuan stood up and strode out of the room. I gave Xingxing a gentle smile. "Eat up, sweetie. Mommy will watch cartoons with you in a little bit." Xingxing wiggled her little legs excitedly. Yay. 9. The next morning, Shin Muyuan actually stayed to have breakfast with me and Xingxing. At the table, he asked me, "Why did you ask for leave for Xingxing? She doesn't seem sick." I looked him over carefully and couldn't help but remark sarcastically, "You seem awfully concerned about Xingxing lately, taking her to the aquarium, asking about her school. Hell must have frozen over. Xingxing is still young." So she naturally couldn't detect the sarcasm in my words. She even asked Shin Muyuan, "Daddy, do you like me a little bit now?" Shin Muyuan's eyes noticeably evaded for a moment before he managed a slight smile at Xingxing. "Daddy has always liked Xingxing very much." Then he reminded me in a low voice, "Don't talk nonsense in front of the child." That's when I said, "Xingxing's classmate is sick. Almost half the class has taken leave. I don't want Xingxing to catch it. It's safer for her to stay at home." After a moment of silence, Shin Muyuan's voice took on a meaningful tone as he said, "Yes. It's safer at home after all." Xingxing was on her best behavior today. She finished her meal quickly and ran out to play. I also finished my last bite and set down my chopsticks. Shin Muyuan put down his chopsticks at the same time. He looked at me quietly for a while before saying, "It was my fault before. I neglected Xingxing. I'll make more time to spend with her from now on." I stood up and walked out. "Chang'an." Shin Muyuan called out to stop me. "I know you resent me. And I admit that at the beginning, my pursuit of you was indeed motivated by considerations for the company's development, but at least we're still together now, and we have a daughter. In the future," he paused for a few seconds, then stood up and walked over to me. "In the future, our family of 3 will be just fine." Judging by his expression and the look in his eyes, you really couldn't tell he was acting. "So, he's given up on his own son and now he's turning to Xingxing, is that it? A father's belated affection is cheaper than dirt." I just smiled faintly and walked out. Hearing him say that doesn't soften my heart in the slightest. On the contrary, it makes me see him as two-faced and even more despicable than Bayuro. 10. It seems Xianxian really is nearing the end. Lately, Shin Muyuan has been visiting the hospital far more frequently than before, and so, I began to set the next phase of my plan in motion. as the chairperson of the Angel Charity Foundation. I decided to hold this year's charity press conference at the hospital. That's right, it's the very hospital where Shin Mu-yuen and Bayuro's son was admitted. The charity work is genuine, and so is exposing Shin Mu-yuen's true colors to the world. The two goals aren't mutually exclusive, so when Shin Mu-yuen and Bayuro took Xianxian downstairs for a walk and were spotted and swarmed by sharp-eyed reporters, I knew the show was about to begin, just as I had planned, and this, my friends, is a live broadcast. Microphones were practically shoved in Shin Mu-yuen's face, while the camera focused on Xianxian, who was dressed in a hospital gown. Mr. Shin, what is your relationship to this child? Why do the three of you look more like a family? Ma'am, are you aware that Mr. Shin is married and has children? Little one, what do you call this gentleman? What illness does your child have? Mr. Shin, your wife is holding a charity press conference over there. Are you aware of this? Does she know you're here today? Enough. Bayuro's voice cut through the air, sharp and shrill. This was immediately followed by Xuanxuan's wailing, Mommy, Daddy, I'm scared. Wah. Hearing this, the reporter's questions came even faster. Mr. Shin, is this young boy your son? So, he's your illegitimate child? Mr. Shin, please answer our questions. I waited until the reporters were almost done and the live stream was likely hitting a peak moment before I rushed over, my face a picture of utter disbelief. Shin Mu-yuen, what are you doing here? I thought you two broke up. And who is this child? Is he your son with Bayuro? Shin Mu-yuen, say something. When did you two get back in touch? Shut up, Shin Mu-yuen snapped, cutting me off angrily. I certainly wasn't going to shut up. You're married to me, so why are you still seeing her? You chased me for 6 months after you two broke up. Have you really forgotten all that? What's the story with this child? He looks older than Xingxing. Did you two get together not long after we got married? I turned to Bayuro again. Do you understand what this makes you? You're the other woman, and your son is illegitimate. You're the other woman, Bayuro shouted back. My use of the words mistress and illegitimate child must have struck a nerve, because she seemed absolutely furious. Mu-yuen loves me, he has always loved me, and he never loved you. Li Chanan, you're the other woman, the one who isn't loved is the real mistress. Her words caused an uproar in the room. The live stream was probably exploding right then, hearing such a morally bankrupt statement come straight from Bayuro's mouth, combined with the images on the screen. It was a full audiovisual spectacle, a real-life drama featuring a scumbag, his mistress, and their loved child. Covering my mouth, I wept with a mix of heartbreak and fury before turning and running away. That little family of 3 was still surrounded by reporters. Only after getting in the car did I wipe the tears from my cheeks and drive off. The press conference isn't the main event. The real focus is the charity gala that follows, so, if the press conference gets cut short, so be it. 11. The livestream clip quickly went viral across the entire internet, with Bayuro's line, the one who isn't loved is the real homewrecker, becoming an instant sensation. The netizens are incredibly resourceful. They even managed to dig up the news that Xianxian has been diagnosed with uremia. Some netizens expressed their heartache for Xianxian online, saying he's had a tough life and didn't get lucky with his parents. Another group of netizens claimed that Xuanxuan's illness is nothing but karma for Shin Mu-yuen and Bayuro. Of course, the majority showed more sympathy for me and Xingxing. I didn't say a word. The internet is full of people saying exactly what I'm thinking. I brought Xingxing back to my own place. My parents didn't go to the office today either. They insisted on staying by her side during this time. Xingxing is still young. After all, she's perfectly happy just having her grandparents around. That's exactly when Shin Mu-yuen called, asking where I was. I told him to wait at home, said goodbye to my parents and Xingxing, and left. When I got back to the home I shared with Shin Mu-yuen, I was surprised to also see his mother, Zhou Fengyun. Shin Mu-yuen immediately strode over and confronted me. What's going on? Why were you holding a press conference there? Did you do it on purpose? His audacity made me laugh. You're the one who cheated during our marriage and fathered a child outside of it, and now you're questioning me. Zhou Fengyun stormed over. So you admit it, do you? What on earth were you thinking, making such a huge scene? Have you seen what's happened to the company's stock price? Have you lost your mind? Your son cheats, and you don't stop him. Instead, you blame me for finding out. What is this? Does the Shin family have its own special set of rules for life? Or is this the Zhou family tradition too? Is this how your parents raised you? My final remark completely infuriated Zhou Fengyun. I am your elder. How dare a junior speak to me like that? Were you raised in a barn? I shrugged indifferently. My manners are only visible to humans. It took Zhou Fengyun a moment to realize I had just called her less than human, and she raised her hand to strike me. I took a step back to avoid it. Shin Mu-yuen spoke up, Chang'an, watch your tone, she is. After all, my mother and your elder. Besides, she had no idea about any of this. Zhou Fengyun lifted her chin defiantly. You've made such a big scene, it's impossible for me not to know. I pulled a stack of photos straight from my bag and flung them at her. After a stunned pause, Zhou Fengyun immediately bent down to pick them up. When she saw they were photos of her visiting her grandson at the hospital, her eyes nearly popped out of her head. I helpfully reminded her. If you don't want people to know, you shouldn't have done it. Even if you're desperate to see your grandson, you should have been more discreet. Now look, you've left evidence. I gave a scornful laugh. The internet would have a field day defending me. A husband cheats and fathers a love child. A mother-in-law favors the illegitimate grandson over her own granddaughter because he's a boy, and she helps her son cover it all up. TSK. TSK, if this gets out. The online mob would drown you in their outrage. Say goodbye to your precious reputation in your old age. Wait, that's not right. Zhou Fengyun never had any reputation to begin with. 12. Zhou Fengyun looked like she wanted to lunge at me and tear my mouth off. But Shen Muyuan held her back. He looked thoroughly annoyed. Mom, could you please not make things worse? I'm making things worse. Zhou Fengyun pointed at her own nose, then at me. See, she knew all along. She did this on purpose. She's the one who blew this whole thing up, and you're saying I'm making it worse. Shut up. I cut her off coldly. You're making a racket. One more word and you can get out. Zhou Fengyun tried to pull rank as the elder, but I shut her down right then and there. What are you trying to say? That you're my elder? So how dare I speak to you like this? Your son and I are legally married. Xingjing is your granddaughter, your own flesh and blood. Yet you can't even be bothered to look at her. Instead, you're out there fussing over that illegitimate child. Do you even know how your family business got off the ground? Without my family, would you be living this life of luxury and prestige? Not only are you ungrateful, you're biting the hand that feeds you. You're a treacherous old fool who can't read the room. What kind of elder are you supposed to be? Facing Zhou Fengyun, I just had to get it all off my chest. As for elegance and good breeding, let's just say someone like her doesn't deserve it. Zhou Fengyun's face contorted with rage, but I couldn't help but laugh with glee. I just loved seeing her so furious she was practically steaming from the ears. Serves you right. Your family has caused such a huge mess out there, and you still expect the Li family to clean up after you. Let me remind you to keep your head down and behave. If you still don't learn your lesson, don't blame me for what happens next. I gave a nonchalant smile. Well, it won't be me who suffers the consequences when the time comes. Zhou Fengyun, used to being domineering, always loved to play the overbearing mother-in-law card in front of me. In the past, I let it slide out of grace. Now that I'm not indulging her anymore, she has only herself to blame for pushing her luck. Deep down, she was still wary of our Li family. She shot me several resentful glares but ultimately didn't dare say another word. Only after we had both calmed down did Shen Muyuan speak again. Chang'an, this matter is already affecting the company. Let's not worry about what happened before. We must address the impact on the company first. Seeing that I remained silent, Shen Muyuan paused for a moment before tentatively asking, or, are you saying you want a divorce? 13. I was speechless. Zhou Fengyun grew frantic. You can't get a divorce. I let out a cold laugh. Zhou Fengyun grabbed my wrist, pleading, Chang'an, your mother was wrong. I shook off her hand. You didn't give birth to me. You didn't raise me. How dare you call yourself my mother? Zhou Fengyun looked frantic and panicked. I was wrong. But you can't divorce Muyuan. If you divorce him now, he'll be universally condemned and never recover. She pounded on Shen Muyuan again and again. How dare you cheat? What kind of woman is Bai Yuro? How could she ever compare to Chang'an? Shen Muyuan continued to stare at me intently. After a long silence, he finally spoke, his tone tinged with a hint of pleading. Chang'an, if you don't divorce me, I'll agree to anything. I'll cut all ties with Bai Yuro completely. I won't even go to see Xianxian anymore. I've told you before. From now on, it'll be just you, me, and Xingjing. Our little family will be happy together. I swear to you, nothing like this will ever happen again. Zhou Fengyun was nodding emphatically beside him. Yes, Chang'an, I can vouch for him. If he ever does this again, I won't let him off the hook either. I pretended to think it over with some difficulty, then nodded. Under the hopeful gazes of Shen Muyuan and Zhou Fengyun, I spoke in a reluctant tone. I can agree not to divorce, but I have one condition. Shen Muyuan's voice was urgent. Go on. Transfer all the assets under your name to Xingjing. The two of them clearly hadn't expected me to seize the opportunity to plunder. They were both stunned. I shook my head with a cold laugh. Shen Muyuan, oh Shen Muyuan, tell me, how am I supposed to believe you? Is it really so difficult for you to give everything to your daughter? Or are you still thinking of saving it for your son? I turned to Zhou Fengyun. Oh, right. What was it that your precious grandson came down with again? Zhou Fengyun's face went deathly pale. She shot me a glare. Then her questioning gaze shifted to Shen Muyuan. She had no idea what to do either. After a long silence, Shen Muyuan's voice finally broke through again. I'll start by transferring all the liquid assets and real estate under my name to Xingxing. I'll also give her 5% of the shares. As for the rest, we can discuss that later. Does that sound acceptable to you? I suppose it's passable. Consider it the fee for me and Xingxing playing along with your little act. A smirk played on my lips. Oh, and get back everything you gave by euro. That's our marital property. You can't just give away what's half mine without my say-so. Shen Muyuan's heavy gaze felt like it was nailed to my face. Do you really have to be this ruthless? Ruthless? I gave him an innocent smile. When you decided to carve out my daughter's kidney, did you ever stop to think how utterly ruthless you were being? Shen Muyuan's eyes widened in shock. How did you know? It's quite a coincidence that you took Xinjin out for fun just when your son needed a kidney donor, and you tried to get me out of the way. Shen Muyuan, you didn't actually think you'd hidden your true colors so well, did you? Honestly, I felt pretty guilty saying that. He hid it so well that in my past life, I lost Xingxing. Shen Muyuan nodded. Alright, we'll do everything exactly as you say. 14. Before Shen Muyuan could even go find Bayuro, she showed up at our door and started a scene with him right in front of me. My son and I are being torn apart online, and you have the money and power to bury the story. What are we supposed to do? She pointed at me. You were the one who said you'd marry her to get the Li family's backing, build up the company, and then divorce her. You said everything the Li family had would be yours. Shut up. Shen Muyuan raised his hand and slapped Bayuro hard across the face. Wow. Is Bayuro his first love, not just some idealized memory? TSK. I just sat back on the couch to enjoy the show. A bucket of popcorn would have made it perfect. The corner of Bayuro's mouth was split and bleeding, a testament to the sheer force of Shen Muyuan's slap. She completely lost her mind, lunging at Shen Muyuan and beating him mercilessly. You hit me, Shen Muyuan, you bastard, you animal. How dare you hit me? Shen Muyuan shoved her away with force, sending her sprawling to the ground. Bayuro, go take a look in the mirror. You're a complete lunatic right now. Forget about all the money I've spent on our son over the years. Just give me back the money I gave you. Get out, now. He called security in to have Bayuro escorted out. You just wait, Shen Muyuan. If me and Xianxian suffer, you'll suffer too. I'll expose your true face to the whole world online. Just wait for your reputation to be ruined. Haha. Finally, there was silence. Shen Muyuan turned his head to look at me. Are you satisfied now? I nodded. Just about. Then I went upstairs. 15. The online uproar surrounding Shen Muyuan and Bayuro hasn't died down yet, but the storm has clearly calmed compared to a couple of days ago. Just as I was wondering why Bayuro hadn't kicked up a fuss, I received a piece of news. Bayuro was hospitalized after a car accident and is still in critical condition. A thought flashed through my mind, sending a chill down my spine. In my past life, Shen Muyuan pushed me off a building. Could he be the one behind Bayuro's accident in this life? This man is truly terrifying. He doesn't love anyone, he only loves himself. The police are still investigating Bayuro's car accident. Then, an unexpected witness came forward. It was actually Xianxian. In front of the police, he pointed at Shen Muyuan through tears and cried, Dad was the one who drove the car and hit Mom. However, Xianxian is too young, and his testimony wouldn't hold up in court. The police had no choice but to continue their investigation, but they had already identified Shen Muyuan as the prime suspect. It really was him. I hired a few more bodyguards to protect my parents and Xingxing. And I've been extra cautious myself as well. Shen Muyuan is a truly terrifying individual, capable of absolutely anything. Human life means nothing to him. He'll eliminate anyone who stands in his way. Root and branch. Justice has a long reach and a fine mesh. There's no such thing as a perfect crime in this world. The police painstakingly pieced the evidence together and finally zeroed in on the killer, Shen Muyuan. He's been charged with murder and a court date has been set. The scandal finally reached its peak online. Shen Group stock hit the limit down, wiping out 100 billion in market value overnight. Meanwhile, our Li Group bucked the trend, with our share price climbing steadily. That's when I stepped forward and publicly announced I would take over Shen Group to lead its revival. My image as a victim left a deep impression on everyone, winning me a great deal of sympathy. It was only then that Shen Group's stock price began to recover. I seized the moment to rename Shen Group, making it wholly my own company. As for Zhou Fengyun, she thought about stepping forward, but in the end, she didn't dare. There are plenty of rumors about her online, like favoring sons over daughters, being a terrible mother-in-law. If she were to step forward, the company would go bankrupt on the spot. I felt not a shred of sympathy for her, let alone any affection. So I joined forces with the other shareholders to evict her from the Shin family's current residence and seize all assets under her name. She got exactly what she deserved. 16. Shin Muyuan was sentenced to death, with execution set for 1 month later. I received a call saying Shin Muyuan had requested to see me. I went. He suddenly said to me, "Chang'an, is this your revenge? Are you punishing me for killing you in our past life and taking Xingxing's kidney?" I was taken aback. How did he remember what happened in our past life? But it's better that he remembers. He shouldn't feel wronged. Yes, I'm grateful to fate for giving me a second chance to return to Xingxing's side and to avenge both her and myself. I'm very satisfied with this outcome. Shin Muyuan nodded. So you're finally satisfied. As long as you're happy. Just as I was about to hang up, Shin Muyuan suddenly became agitated. With tears streaming down his face, he demanded of me, "Why won't you give me a chance?" After learning that Xuan's illness couldn't be cured, I wanted to make it up to Xingxing. I really did. Our family of 3 could have been fine. Xingxing needs a father. Why do you? Xingxing doesn't need a father. I cut him off coldly. Xingxing is very happy now. She has me and my parents, and that's more than enough. She has never needed you. After saying that, I hung up the phone, stood up, and left without looking back at him. The day after Shin Muyuan was executed, Xianxian also died. Bayuro was still lying in her hospital bed, unconscious. It was half a year later when she finally opened her eyes. As soon as I got the news, I rushed over. Before I even reached the ward, I could hear Bayuro's piercing screams from down the hall. "I won't use a wheelchair. I won't. You have to fix me." I opened the door and went in. When Bayuro saw me, her screaming stopped instantly. I told the others to leave first. Then walked to the bedside, looking down at Bayuro, who had lost a leg. I gave a slight smirk. "Congratulations, you're finally awake." She glared at me. "What are you doing here? I don't want to see you. Get out." "I came to tell you some good news. Shin Muyuan was executed 6 months ago. He's dead." After hearing this, Bayuro threw her head back and laughed uproariously. "Karma, that's his karma coming back to him. He deserves it. He deserves to die. Heaven has eyes. He never loved me. And he never loved you. He ruined 2 women's lives. He deserves to die." She was right. Shin Muyuan truly did ruin 2 women, but I'm the only innocent one here. Okay, in the end, the only life she truly ruined was her own. I continued, "There's more. Your son, Xianxian, is also dead." Bayuro froze in place as if petrified, unable to move for a long time. After what felt like an eternity, her mouth opened in a silent scream of agony. It took me a long moment to find my voice. "My Xianxian. Li Chang'an, how could you be so cruel? He was just a child. You're a mother too. How can you say something so heartless with such detachment?" I let the smile fade from my lips and stared at her coldly. "Because you wanted to carve a kidney out of my daughter. Bayuro, the moment you set your sights on my child, retribution fell upon your son. So the one who killed your son is you." I left those words hanging in the air and walked away, even from a great distance. I could still hear Bayuro's hysterical cries. It wasn't me. I didn't kill Xianxian. It wasn't me. 17. When I got home, Xingxing rushed over to me the moment I stepped inside. "Mom, where were you? Dinner's ready." I picked her up and kissed her soft, fair cheek. "Xingxing, Mommy loves you. I'm going to be with you forever." My mom came out of the kitchen with a smile. "Enough of the mushy stuff. Go wash your hands. I cooked your favorite pan-fried ribbon fish, and of course, honey-glazed chicken drumsticks for my precious girl. Hurry up." Coming, I carried Xingxing over, washed my hands, and sat down to have dinner with my parents. Everything is over now, and every day from here on out will be beautiful. In this lifetime, my parents will enjoy good health and live to a ripe old age, spared from the pain of losing their daughter and granddaughter. Xingxing will also grow up healthy and happy. As for me, all I want is this very moment. I wish time would slow down. Just a little bit more. Take it all slow and easy. The best moments are found in life's simple joys. Story 2. I mustered all my courage to hand Zhou Xian a love letter in front of the entire basketball court. He just held the basketball, glanced at me with a smirk. "Little girl, you've got that troublemaker look. Not really my type." Then he pointed upward, cast a meaningful glance toward the distant lawn, and left it at that. Zhou Xian always thinks I'd flirt with any guy during a quick water run, which drives him crazy with insecurity. I woke up to find myself 7 years in the past, right at the moment of filling out college applications. Without hesitation, I chose T University where Zhou Xian studied, determined to give him the perfect romance and erase all his doubts. But when the semester began, I was stunned to see Zhou Xian with blue hair, earrings, and tattoos. This is my innocent boyfriend. Skeptical, I gripped the railing and stood on tiptoe to peer inside. Zhou Xian happened to circle back near me, raising an intrigued eyebrow as he asked, looking for someone. Knowing him, that eyebrow raise was his tell for interest. That instant, I knew without doubt, this was Zhou Xian. Zhou Xian, I said, staring at him with a teasing smile. The whole basketball court had their eyes on us. The atmosphere instantly electric. Damn, Xian, you're killing it. But somehow, the light in Zhou Xian's eyes dimmed slightly. He glanced at my luggage and said dismissively, shouldn't freshmen be at orientation? So, can I get your number? It was my first time hitting on someone. Even though this guy would eventually become my boyfriend, I still felt awkward. Zhou Xian casually lifted the hem of his jersey to wipe the sweat off his face, left my phone behind. Next time. His tone was almost playful, and it wasn't until I'd walked halfway across campus that I realized I'd just been rejected. 2 hours later, with everything sorted, I stubbornly circled back to the basketball court, determined to ask Zhou Xian for his WeChat again. Who knows, it's probably rush hour between classes right now. A crowd of girls had gathered around the basketball court to watch. Zhou Xian was taking a halftime break. Surrounded by a group of girls, he flashed a careless smile, casually accepting the drink a girl handed him and twisting it open to take a sip, not the slightest bit shy, nor aloof in any way, keeping people at arm's length, close enough to tempt, yet forever just out of reach. I gripped the court entrance railing, frozen in place. Zhou Xian's college years weren't meant to include me, so he'd be with others, maybe more than one. I had to watch helplessly as Zhou Xian, who should have been mine, embraced and kissed someone else, maybe even. My vision blurred. Hey Zhou Xian, that cute junior's back again. You've got game. Someone spotted me and shouted across the basketball court to Zhou Xian, who was surrounded by admirers. Zhou Xian set down his water bottle and looked over, arching a sculpted brow with a mix of exasperation and amusement. Can't let him be with someone else. After confirming this thought, I jogged over. Zhou Xian, since you don't have your phone, can I add your friend and have them share your contact? Zhou Xian lowered his eyelids slightly, giving me an unfriendly glance. Wait. With that, he walked toward the pile of backpacks, picked up a black one, pulled out his phone and came back. Scan. So you lied just to reject me. I kept my eyes on my phone as I unlocked it and opened WeChat, not even bothering to look at him. Zhou Xian accepted my friend request with a single word, forgot, the laziest excuse, delivered without a shred of remorse. After tagging him as future boyfriend and composing myself, I flashed him a sweet smile. Zhou Xian, since it's my first day here, how about showing me the cafeteria? Or if you're busy, maybe one of your friends could give me the tour. His Adam's apple bobbed, a telltale sign of impatience. Surprisingly, he agreed. Fine. Walking beside him, I asked curiously, what does that Morse code tattoo on your lower back mean? Stay away from women, or you'll bring misery upon yourself. Really? Could have fooled me. You were handling that crowd of women like a natural just now. My voice dripped with undisguised jealousy. Bullshit. Zhou Xian scoffed. You actually bought that. Truth is, I'm quite the player. Still wanna mess with me? My heart gave a painful twinge. I'm done playing with you. He just chuckled nonchalantly at my words and gave my shoulder a light nudge. We're here. Go on in. Xian Zhou still ate with the same refined manners he'd have 7 years later. Lost in thought about why he was acting this way now, I didn't even notice someone had joined us. Bro Xian, weren't you just saying you weren't interested in that girl at the basketball court? Now you're having meals together. A fair-skinned guy in black clothes winked suggestively at Zhou Xian. You're so clingy. Zhou Xian shot me a glance. Though I knew he was teasing me, his words somehow wrapped around me like an endearment. This is insane. How about joining your Xian Gij for some bar hopping tonight, little sister? I looked up at him and nodded with a smile. Absolutely. Thanks for the invite, senior. No need to call me senior. I'm Chen Fong. He had that playful air about him, locking eyes with a gaze that carried unspoken implications. I nodded without responding, but clearly, Zhou Xian, who always thought I was trouble when we were together, had felt the same way 7 years ago. He smirked mockingly. Little miss. Did I say I was leaving? If you're not going, then neither am I. Zhou Xian, how could you even doubt me? You call others senior, but with me, you're all casual. Nice double standard. Gij, I said it without hesitation, meeting his gaze directly, completely unembarrassed. He loved when I called him that. At least he did 7 years later when we got together. Sure enough, Zhou Xian narrowed his eyes. That non-existent tail of his perking up behind him, swaying with smug arrogance. So, big bro, hitting the bar tonight. Truth be told, I kinda hoped he'd go. Liquid courage makes things easier. I'm in. Chen Feng listened to the entire conversation and burst into a cocky laugh. Zhou Xian kicked his chair leg in irritation. So you're still interested in me, aren't you? Then why turn me down? Playing hard to get, too. Zhou Xian's group booked a private room. Without hesitation, I took the seat next to him and joined their round of King's Game, a numberless version of King's Game. Zhou Xian, I'm the king, I declared, staring straight at him while holding my card. When drawing cards earlier, I kept praying to get the Joker. Even God heard my wish. Claim benefits pushpin WeChat Japanese symbol for beginner. QQ account 179732803. Zhou Xian took a sip of wine and smiled without responding. Well then, I want you to kiss me, I said, pointing to the corner of my mouth. The entire booth erupted in thunderous applause. You're amazing, Junior. Hell yeah, Junior. Sure enough. The smile gradually faded from his face, knowing full well he'd refuse, yet still making the request, only to end up heartbroken. Oh dear, what should I do? It's been so long since I last saw him. I just really want to get close to him. I made a rather awkward excuse for myself, which was also a gamble. If you really can't do it, maybe your friend could step in for you. Friend. Zhou Xian's smile vanished completely as he raised an eyebrow at me. Chen Feng was the first to react, patting Zhou Xian's shoulder with a grin. Honestly, this junior's got some fire. If you can't handle her, want me to take your place? Zhou Xian set his glass down with deliberate force, curling one corner of his mouth into a wicked smirk. Like hell you will, get lost. The next moment, he yanked me against his chest, my face smashed into his torso as he gripped my chin, eyes burning into mine, calling everyone friend. Are you trying to pick me up or someone else? Huh, you. As the word fell, so did the kiss. The way he moved made me think he'd try to destroy me like in my memories, yet all I got was a feather-light kiss, so faint it made me wonder if his thin lips even touched me at all. The air between us caught fire. The king's turn went to Chen Feng. Zhou Xian, why not let the little lady sit on your lap for this round? Chen Feng grinned around his cigarette. Before I could react, Zhou Xian downed his glass in one go, pale liquor tracing a tantalizing yet painful path down his jawline. He wordlessly poured and drained another glass before I finally spoke. But I'd rather sit on your lap. I'm not drinking. Defying the king's orders means drinking 2 penalty cups. I'll take yours. Zhou Xian murmured without looking at me, lazily pouring more wine. He downed 4 cups in one go. The crowd seemed to have forgotten his rejection of me, clapping and egging him on. I forced a smile and played along. Backup account pushpin WeChat. QQID 17973280331. The next person became king and made the same demand as Chen Feng. Watching Zhou Xian pour the wine, I lowered my head in embarrassment, clutching her skirt desperately while searching for an excuse to leave. She was effortlessly comforted by the senior girl beside her. Don't be upset, Junior. This is Zhou Xian's first time drinking during a game. How flattering that I'd make him so uncomfortable. The senior girl giggled and hugged her boyfriend, who chimed in knowingly. It just means Zhou Xian chickened out. Get it? He's not unwilling to let you sit there. He just doesn't dare. Junior, wow, you actually managed to win over our legendary playboy Xian. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Feels like I'm still miles away from actually winning him over. Exactly. Flirting's fine, but if you actually tie him down, he'll get so annoyed. Ha ha ha, we're totally rooting for this show. Junior, go get him. Suddenly Zhou Xian started looking pleasing to the eye again. He'd been forced to drink too much, though his expression remained composed. The corners of his eyes were faintly flushed. This was Zhou Xian's telltale sign of drunkenness. His long eyes with their naturally tapered lids now drooped slightly as he bowed his head, making my heart race uncontrollably. My boyfriend is so handsome, going to devour me. Zhou Xian's voice, thickened by alcohol, dropped to a husky, sensual register, nothing like his usual crisp tone. I swallowed hard before I could stop myself. Well, not that he deliberately misinterpreted me before I could finish saying not that I'd mind. Scared, then head back early. Stop clinging, dorm curfew's coming. Zhou Xian leaned deeper into the couch, his arm casually draping over the sofa behind me like he was pulling me into an embrace. I tapped my phone. 11:00 p.m. I am tired, but it's too late to fly back now. What did you usually do? Zhou Xian arched a brow, tilting his chin. Across the street was a hotel. Have you been with someone else? My heart feels stuck in my throat. Whatever, he didn't even know me before. No use dwelling on it. Just focus on the future. I forgot my ID, I muttered, tugging at my skirt. So what? Zhou Xian toyed with the cigarette between his slender fingers, but didn't light it. Can I share a room with you? Zhou Xian couldn't help but laugh. Sweetheart, do you think I'm a monk or an idiot? I just want to sleep, but if you really want to, I don't mind, as long as it's you. Fuck. Zhou Xian cursed under his breath, stubbing out his cigarette before grabbing a black coat to drape over my head and pulling me away with him. My heart was pounding like crazy. No way. I'm not ready for this. We'd done this before, but never with the 20-year-old baby-faced Zhou Xian, nor the wild blue-haired version. This was the 7 years later Zhou Xian, tailored suit, silver-rimmed glasses, that refined yet utterly dangerous look. He shoved me inside and flicked the light on. I yanked the coat off my head. Zhou Xian leaned against the doorway, eyeing me with hostility. Don't provoke me again, just sleep. Where are you going? Let's go back and pull an all-nighter. I must be insane, after all this fanfare bringing me here, enduring everyone's teasing, and mentally preparing myself. He just wants to go back for drinks. I stammered before finally finding my words. Don't you have any feelings for me? Zhou Xian was about to walk away but paused, looking at me seriously. Not particularly, but I'm not picky when it comes to pretty faces. Lies. I clutched the clothes in my hands tighter and tighter. My pride told me to let him go. This version of Zhou Xian wasn't someone I could love, nor someone I could move, but remembering how tender he'd be with me 7 years later, how achingly insecure, my heart softened. I sulked and complained. Zhou Xian, if you see me 7 years from now, you'll fall for me at first sight. Zhou Xian let out a mocking laugh. Delusional much. You already are now, you just won't admit it. Get some sleep if you're not thinking straight, sweetheart. Zhou Xian flashed me a half-hearted smile, closed the door, and left. 3. Claim benefits pushpin WeChat. QQ1 *797328031. The weather's rather gloomy today as our department conducts military training on the basketball court. I was completely distracted, my gaze constantly drifting to the adjacent basketball court. Hey, you there, 7th in the 3rd row. What are you staring at? Found something fascinating. The instructor had clearly noticed my distraction, reporting, Sir. I'm looking at my future boyfriend. Zhou Xian's three-pointer went wide. Group admin's exclusive contact pushpin WeChat. QQID 1 *79732 *8031. Our whole department and his buddies were cracking up. Xian, I've never seen a girl this gorgeous and badass at the same time. Just say yes already. Zhou Xian passed the ball. Stop yapping and play. The drill instructor was speechless yet amused by me. These young girls nowadays are quite bold. He smiled kindly, then abruptly turned stern. Just because your boyfriend's watching means you can slack off. 30 squats. Now, after dutifully completing the squats, I stood waiting for the instructor's verdict, but he just waved me back into formation. Alright everyone, take a break. Anyone want to show off some talents? Hey there, the girl watching her boyfriend, want to come show us something? Honestly, I'm not too bad at dancing. Yes, thanks, drill instructor. I ran up and connected my phone to the instructor's speaker to play a song. As the music started, Zhou Xian's buddy knowingly stopped in his tracks, winking at him while holding the basketball. Xian, check out your little sister dancing. What sister? Zhou Xian leaned against the basketball hoop post, watching half-heartedly. Since when does a sweetheart not count as a sister? Humph. After the dance, the classmates gave enthusiastic applause. Zhou Xian's friends joined in the cheering too, while Zhou Xian himself just gave a couple of perfunctory claps, using getting water as an excuse. I ran up to him and asked, how was my dance? Mediocre. Mediocre how? It was clearly amazing. Zhou Xian chuckled, his gaze drifting downward. Just mediocre. Pervert. I'll grow more. I've got proof. I'll be amazing in 7 years. Zhou Xian seemed thirsty, licking his lips as his Adam's apple bobbed. No girl brought you water today. Huh, want to make do with mine? I don't mind. We're practically family anyway. Zhou Xian rubbed his temples, visibly annoyed. I do mind. Fall in with your group. Stop loitering here. With a cold snort, I jogged over to the drink station and grabbed a fresh bottle. I never expected to run into Zhou Xian today, and I don't even remember buying an extra drink. Everything felt so natural and perfectly logical. Smiling, I walked over and said, I brought this for you. From now on, with me around, you'll never have to endure hardship, thirst, or hunger, nor feel obliged to accept favors from other girls that'd only weigh on your conscience. With that, I shoved it into his arms, waving at him. Zhou Xian clicked his tongue. Quit messing around for no damn reason. When the noon break came, Zhou Xian's group wrapped up too, unexpectedly. They headed for the school gate instead of the cafeteria. I jogged up to them. Zhou Xian, Where are you guys going? Internet cafe. Zhou Xian shot me a glance. Not eating. I'll get takeout. You head back. I'd like to join you though. Zhou Xian suddenly reached out and patted my head lightly. You've got military training this afternoon. Don't get so distracted just because you see me. Alright. My face flushed instantly. What a narcissist he is. After all these years together. His flirting still left me giddy all afternoon. My heart sank when I saw them returning to the field, a girl in a black dress and boots walking right beside him. So you ditched me for another girl. Is that it? That girl? I distinctly remember her being my classmate back at Z University. We never got along, always trading passive-aggressive remarks. Did my transfer to T University somehow alter someone else's destiny? I rubbed my temples, shaking off those absurd fatalistic thoughts. Zhou Xian must have sensed my burning glare. He turned his head, momentarily froze, then flashed a slightly guilty expression, then composed myself and walked past nonchalantly. During the break, I couldn't help texting him, you wouldn't take me, but brought another girl instead. Novel collection pushpin WeChat, QQ number 1797328031, a friend invited her. Why's your friend standing so close to you? What, you think I'm handsome? Then back off from her already, got a reason? My spirits instantly deflated. He's single, and I'm just some disposable simp. Just as I was about to turn off my phone and wallow in misery, Zhou Xian suddenly added, I'll try. Instant revival, right then and there. Told you he's got a crush on me. Zhou Xian and I were both from the Cross College, when our school organized an interdepartmental dance competition and fell short of male participants. His striking good looks got him roped in as a last-minute addition. My eyes lit up the moment I spotted Zhou Xian in the dance studio. When the instructor told us to pick partners, I bolted straight to Zhou Xian without hesitation, easily the fastest mover in the room. Zhou Xian took a slight step back. Don't be such a bandit, you're such a heartbreaker with no sense of propriety. Had I come any later, you'd have run off with someone else. You know me too well. Zhou Xian chuckled, lowering his eyelids with devastating charm. Placing a hand over my chest in an exaggerated bow, I hammed it up. My dear prince, might I have the honor of this dance? Zhou Xian pressed a finger against my forehead and declared with playful haughtiness, permission granted. That dance was pretty hot. Since I wasn't holding back at all and showed zero restraint, Zhou Xian only maintained gentlemanly conduct twice before narrowing his eyes and placing his hand on my exposed waist. Quite slender, Zhou Xian murmured close to my ear. Tilting my head to transition into the next dance move, I teased with a laugh, you could snap it in half, big brother. Sure enough, the arm around my waist tightened its grip. He let out a cold laugh and said nothing more. When it rains, it pours. Just 2 weeks into dance practice, when Zhou Xian and I had gotten so close that anyone could see the chemistry between us, I got up for a midnight bathroom trip, missed my step, and broke my leg. My roommate dragged my sniveling self to the hospital for exams, bone setting, and a cast. When things settled down, I tentatively texted Zhou Xian, hey bro, it's the middle of the night, are you insane? I checked the time, 3 a.m., still awake at this hour, missing me too much to sleep. You woke me up, so you were dreaming about me. What is it? After hesitating for a long time, I carefully chose my words. If I stopped dancing with you, would you dance with other women? What do you think? I don't think my brother would. I clung to a sliver of hope. Claim benefits pushpin WeChat, QQ no, 1797328031, heh. Midnight's the perfect time for wishful thinking. I'm feeling depressed. After all, I was this close to securing my position by dancing with him, with just 20 days left before the competition. Him dancing with another girl means our engagement is definitely off. I suddenly fell into a melancholic mood and didn't notice the constant typing. Notification from the other side, found someone else, have you? When Zhou Xian sent this message, I was completely stunned. I could practically see his cold smirk through the screen. Not talking, you're something else, you messing with me. He lost his cool. He was so worked up I couldn't explain, just started firing accusations left and right. Brother, my leg's broken and you don't even care. Instead you accuse me of cheating. My heart's shattered. I started laughing like a maniac. Terrifying my roommate, Luyu, you okay? Pain making you delirious. My roommate reached to feel my forehead, caught a glimpse of my chat screen, then backed away speechless. At the campus clinic, Zhou Xian sent another message. I kept nodding like crazy until my roommate reminded me to actually reply. They left me behind, a sick patient standing like a loyal stone waiting for her husband's return. Zhou Xian came running, panting, his blue bangs slightly damp and clinging to his pale skin. Bending over with hands on his knees, he looked up at me through his lashes. How'd you fall? From the bed, you're hopeless. 4. As dawn broke, Zhou Xian pushed my wheelchair toward the girls' dormitory. I won't be able to practice dancing with you tomorrow. Are you going to find another woman behind my back? My heart ached. Zhou Xian paused mid-step. It's completely aboveboard. Sniff. How could I possibly stand in your way of finding someone better? I fake sobbed dramatically. Zhou Xian remained silent. Just as I thought the moment had fizzled out, he suddenly swept me off my feet with a textbook Princess Carrie when we reached the dormitory. Resource group pushpin B red heart. QQ1797328031. My face flushed instantly as he said without even catching his breath. Dropping out of the intercollegiate competition isn't ideal. You could come supervise me. My heart skipped a beat in secret. Zhou Xian, if you like me, you should say it out loud. Zhou Xian glanced down the staircase and threatened, want me to toss you down these stairs? I immediately wrapped my arms around his neck, trying to kill me so you can find a replacement. Did I ever agree to be with you? There you go again with your drama. Shut up. The journey was bumpy. But I still scored myself a boyfriend by the time we reached the dorm. Told you he'd had his eye on me all along. Drifted off to sleep blissfully. No military training for me tomorrow. My daily routine, getting fed by roommates, dragging myself to shower, gaming, and flirting with Zhou Xian. My leg healed surprisingly fast, got the cast off in just over a week, somehow still made it to the competition, and ended up being Zhou Xian's partner. Only after the competition did I have my first proper date with Zhou Xian, played werewolf with his crew, and since I was clueless, I took the easiest role as the moderator. Night falls, close your eyes, werewolves, open your eyes and choose your target for tonight. Just as expected, after I said this, Zhou Xian's werewolf teammates wordlessly reached a silent agreement and unanimously decided to eliminate him, which, open your eyes, he was killed tonight, will you save him or not? Poor Zhou Xian, nobody came to his rescue. Seer, open your eyes, confirm your target for investigation. Watching Zhou Xian open his eyes beside me, I pointed a finger gun at his head, then leaned in with a grin to whisper breathlessly in his ear, bang, you're dead, darling seer. Zhou Xian narrowed his eyes, tilting his head to claim my lips. In the silent room where everyone kept their eyes shut, Zhou Xian surprised me with a dominant, possessive kiss. My heart was pounding so hard it nearly leapt out of my chest as I straightened up abruptly. Please confirm your target for inspection. After Zhou Xian confirmed the target, I declared his death at daybreak. He looked up at me and couldn't suppress a laugh. His pitch-black eyes sparkled like stars. Who would have thought that the fair and loving god would show favoritism to him alone when night fell? Chen Fang took a drag of his cigarette and sneered, dead and still throwing up couple crap. Might as well meet God in heaven sooner rather than later. Zhou Xian chuckled, resting his arm on the back of my chair. Disgusting. I cleared my throat. Ahem. Player 7. No off-topic discussions please. Fuck. Player 7 Chen Fang cursed with a laugh. Though our first date was a group hangout, I still had a great time. When Zhou Xian walked me back to the dorm, he pulled a small box from his pocket. What's this? A gift? Oh. I completely forgot to get you something. I knew you'd be heartless. Zhou Xian smirked and ruffled my hair. Go on up. But this isn't right. I feel terrible for not getting you anything. Zhou Xian leaned in close, his eyes locked on mine, as his thin lips drew nearer. Just when I thought he was about to kiss me, he suddenly murmured, already gave you one. When, I blinked in confusion. During werewolf, his cheeks flushed, my face burned too. This honeymoon phase lasted about 3 months, and bizarrely, I somehow developed a supernatural ability, dreams come true, like when I dreamed my roommate failed a course, then tearfully begged the professor for mercy in their office. And it actually worked. For instance, when the faculty organizes team-building events, they're usually separated by grade level. I was just lamenting not being able to go with Zhou Xian when I dreamed the department announced freshmen and sophomores would go together this year, and then it actually happened, once on the bus. I clung to Zhou Xian. Gidge, I was just wishing we could go together this year, and now we really are. See, we're meant to be. Zhou Xian lifted his eyelids to glance at me. This clingy. Oh, so you don't want me clinging to you? Planning to sneak around with someone else behind my back. He ruffled my hair and chuckled. Quite the imagination you've got there. I leaned against his shoulder and dozed off, ignoring him completely. Maybe because of that conversation, I ended up dreaming of a scenario where I wanted to strangle Zhou Xian. The mountains were shrouded in mist when suddenly a downpour hit. Zhou Xian and I got separated, only for me to find him later embracing a woman whose soaked blouse turned nearly transparent. I was so mad it jolted me awake. Zhou Xian noticed my expression and touched my forehead. What's wrong? You cheated on me in my dream. Ha, guilty conscience much. Zhou Xian withdrew his hand with a cold smirk. What? My tiny face displayed massive confusion as Zhou Xian pulled up a photo from his phone, a confession wall post, the ultimate couple goals. One shot showed my classmate Chen Jin casually catching me as I stumbled. I gulped. That was totally accidental. Zhou Xian snorted coldly. We'll settle this later. Completely subdued, I didn't dare throw another tantrum about dream nonsense again. I obediently trailed behind him up the mountain. At the summit, while my classmates and I pitched tents, Zhou Xian's group was assigned to gather firewood in the woods. Then we went our separate ways. Slowly, scattered raindrops began to fall. The tent was barely up when the downpour came. It suddenly reminded me of that dream, like some premonition from the universe. Ignoring my classmates' protests, I dashed into the pouring rain. I found the pavilion from my memories. Zhou Xian was indeed holding that drenched girl, her clothes clinging transparently. Our eyes met, and I was overcome with shame. Zhou Xian abruptly pushed the girl away from his embrace and reached out to me. Luyu, come here. If not for coming to hear his explanation, why subject myself to such humiliation in this downpour? I stood my ground. You come here. I just wanted him to get soaked in the rain with me. Zhou Xian strode into the rain without hesitation, draping his jacket over my head before pulling me firmly under his arm. Let's settle this now so you won't think I'm bluffing. She was about to fall into the rain, so I caught her. Just as I was letting go, she grabbed my hand and started confessing. Then you showed up. Hey, back me up here. Zhou Xian shot the girl an irritated frown. The girl's face flushed crimson as she bobbed her head in frantic apology. I'm so sorry. And off they went, leaving us two drenched fools standing there in stunned silence. Did you come through this downpour because you were worried about me? Zhou Xian leaned down until his forehead touched mine, his long eyes curving into crescents. My ears burned slightly. Worrying about him cheating still counts as worrying, right? Zhou Xian probably mistook my behavior for shyness. He let out a carefree laugh before leaning in for a kiss, damp and clinging. You like me that much? Stop being narcissistic. It's obvious you're the one who's crazy about me. Got caught in a downpour and, sure enough, came down with a glorious cold afterward. Zhou Xian was tough as nails, not a sniffle in sight, and even bought a mini pot to make me pear soup. How he managed to ruin something this simple is beyond me. I was eating while throwing up. Can't help but miss Zhou Xian 7 years later. The perfect husband and father. Even his boiled water tasted better than most. The thing is, some thoughts are better left unthought. Especially after unlocking these chaotic superpowers. Dreamt of 26-year-old Zhou Xian cooking for me. Just as expected, when I returned to the dorm after afternoon classes, there stood 26-year-old Zhou Xian right in front of me. Zhou Xian, my mind went completely blank. Zhou Xian's thin lips curled slightly. You actually came, huh? Did you talk to him? Zhou Xian's expression darkened slightly when he saw me frozen in place instead of approaching him, somehow twisting our mutual affection into some messy love triangle. I quickly rushed over and grabbed his arm. Let's talk outside. It's not safe here on campus. Zhou Xian was like a bristling cat, just a few soothing strokes and he'd melt into docility, so he stayed silent and didn't resist, simply accompanying me as we left T University. So you're saying I accidentally touched that machine in your study and got my consciousness transported? That's not the point. Zhou Xian wrapped his arm around my waist, pursing his lips. Then tell me what is. Break up with him. He's literally you too. Stop acting like I'm cheating on you. Okay. Zhou Xian's expression darkened. The space-time won't stabilize for about a month before I can take you away. Do you really think I can stand watching you date someone else for a whole month? How could I ever break up with you when I'm looking at this face? I gazed at him with puppy dog eyes. Then I'll go talk to him. What's the difference? You don't treat him as yourself either. From his perspective, doesn't it just mean I cheated on him? Zhou Xian seemed incredulous, turning to stare at me with his thin lips pressed into a tight line. You feel sorry for him. Well, I'm the one wronged here. My mind was wound tight like a coiled spring. One wrong word and I'd be done for. It's always you I care about. Just give me some time. I'll make things clear with him. I took his hand and gently kissed his slender fingers. Zhou Xian's lashes fluttered slightly, but alas, my charm still failed to move him. 3 days, 3 days, 3 days is too short. How about a week? I was the one who pursued him, and now I'm supposedly dumping him. Ridiculous. As if I'd actually let go. I'm just pretending to comply while secretly keeping him. A month only has 4 weeks. Do you really think that's possible? After we leave in a month, time and space will erase all traces of you. He'll forget you. Everyone here will forget you. Only I won't. Understand? Zhou Xian withdrew his hand from mine and tilted my chin up with just the right pressure. I nuzzled obediently against his palm and murmured, okay. He seems satisfied now. Zhou Xian showed up with nothing. No ID, no money. I rented him a studio near campus and transferred him some funds, my little canary. Class is starting, I've got to go. Zhou Xian braced against the doorframe, pulling me into a one-armed embrace before kissing me, still treating him like your lawful husband. No, I wouldn't dare. Dealing with Zhou Xian is more exhausting than running a marathon. I returned to school looking utterly drained, just in time to see young Zhou Xian playing basketball on the court. That carefree youthful energy becomes more precious with each passing glance, leaning on the railing with a smile. This guy has zero sense of propriety, surrounded by all those girls. He shamelessly lifts his t-shirt to wipe sweat. Saw that Morse code sequence again. So strange. I distinctly remember Zhou Xian's waist being flawless and alluring 7 years later. Even if the tattoo was removed, there should have been some scarring left. An involuntary gasp escaped. The air was thick with hormones. I'm really annoyed. Still staring. Come here. Zhou Xian released his shirt hem and beckoned me with a raised eyebrow. He's really something. Acting so provocative knowing I'm watching. I squeezed onto the basketball court as Zhou Xian shot me a glance. Didn't you promise I'd never go thirsty or hungry again? Serves you right for being shameless. I gave his stomach a playful slap. Zhou Xian braced my shoulders and stepped back. Don't touch recklessly unless you're ready to take responsibility. Getting all coy with me now. Are we? Someone's jealous. My face turned pale. But Zhou Xian suddenly pinched my cheek. They all had their backs to me. Only you were facing this way. Only I saw it. Did he deliberately flash me on purpose? How dare he? Who'd want to see that? Your eyes haven't left me for a second, little sister. Zhou Xian pulled me along as we walked out. If you want something, just say it. Why play hard to get? I want your permission to have the grown-up version of you as my boyfriend. If that's even possible. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. With Zhou Xian staying completely out of sight near campus the entire time, it almost made me wonder if that day had just been my imagination. Zhou Xian had no classes today, so he came to keep me company during mine when suddenly a pop-up appeared on my phone. 3 days already. Did you break up? That message made my blood run cold. The timing was robotic, exactly 3 days to the second. I quickly dismissed the notification and glanced at Zhou Xian beside me. His expression remained indifferent, as if he hadn't noticed. He spoke in a slightly hoarse voice, probably lowering it deliberately for class. What is it? Nothing, just admiring how handsome you are, I said with a sweet smile. Zhou Xian's expression still didn't change. Oh, really? His reaction seems off. Did he see something? WeChat just popped up another notification. Lu Yu, you'd better not be lying to me. I'm dead. Zhou Xian leaned in casually and asked, what's this, my brother? Lover boy. Zhou Xian finally smirked, curling just one side of his lips in a wild, mocking grin. Blood brother, you're the only one who gets to be my lover, I said without batting an eye, laying on the sweet talk. Zhou Xian's expression softened slightly as he let out a haughty humph. Bought some time for now. Both Zhou Xians are so sharp. How am I supposed to survive this month? Points, can't bear to let go. What a mess. 5. During the bathroom break between classes, I ducked into the women's restroom to call 26-year-old Zhou Xian. Just finished class. We broke up. After a pause, he replied, you're lying. My heart skipped a beat. You don't believe me. I do. I smiled contentedly. I've got class this afternoon. Freshman year keeps me busy. You know. How about dinner tonight? You could go explore on your own. Treat it like a mini vacation. Without you, everything's so dull. I don't even feel like going anywhere. Zhou Xian mumbled. And just like that, my sweet innocent boyfriend was back. After calming him down, I stepped outside only to find young Zhou Xian leaning against the wall, basking in the sun while scrolling through his phone. Having two lovers really isn't as enjoyable as people think. Little Zhou Xian remained in low spirits throughout lunch. It all came to a head when he showed up at my place that evening. What's up? Zhou Xian towered over me with his long legs and icy demeanor, his sidelong glance sending a slight chill down my spine. Why so grumpy? I'll make it up to you tomorrow. It's just one dinner. I already promised my roommate today. I laced my fingers through his and gave a gentle tug. He tightened his grip and chuckled. Like I care. Go have fun without me. When I rushed to the apartment across from campus, Zhou Xian opened the door before I could knock, like we shared some psychic connection. What an incredible coincidence. Telepathy, yeah, was waiting for you. Zhou Xian smiled and stepped aside, carrying groceries inside. I said, let me cook for you. We'll eat at home. While part of me wanted to cook for him, I really didn't feel like going out. The difference between Zhou Xian now and 7 years later was striking. You'd never guess they were the same person at a glance. I'd hate to end up on the confession wall accused of two-timing. I'd just tied my apron when the knocking came. My gut screamed danger. I rushed to the door and peeked through the peephole. Sure enough, it was young Zhou Xian. His expression was terrifyingly cold. Seeing my reaction, Zhou Xian behind the door immediately guessed the situation. Open the door, Zhou Xian murmured, sliding an arm around my waist from behind with deliberate slowness, his tone laced with suppressed irritation. No way. What if you two get quantum entangled and experience decoherence? I'd lose my husband, I teased, deliberately calling him hubby to dodge the issue. Zhou Xian narrowed his eyes. You really want to debate physics with me? Then let's not talk physics. How about we discuss human nature, or feelings, or better yet, explain where you found the audacity to two-time us. If you hadn't kept doubting I'd abandon you when we were together, I wouldn't have needed to mess with him in the first place. I finally decided to turn the tables. Zhou Xian's slender brows furrowed slightly with confusion. Did I? Don't scare me like this. The hairs on my neck stood on end. I was genuinely terrified. It never crossed my mind to question why I'd traveled back 7 years, whether this was truly just an accident. Before I could ponder further, the knocking grew louder. Lu Yu, come out. Owner's exclusive ID pushpin WeChat. QQ number 1797328031. Untying the apron, I calmed the pensive Zhou Xian with a glance before stepping out. Young Zhou Xian shot me a look, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Never thought I'd be catching someone red-handed one day. He just let you come out alone like this. I've started doubting this world. Why did Zhou Xian think I was trouble the moment we met? Why pretend you didn't like me when you clearly did from the start? How did my leg injury heal so unnaturally fast? Why do my thoughts materialize almost instantly, including that unfamiliar Morse code sequence? Even Zhou Xian couldn't explain the answer himself, not talking, scared, or feeling guilty. Zhou Xian reached to tilt my chin up, forcing eye contact. The sound of the door lock turning behind me made me instinctively pull it shut. Zhou Xian narrowed his eyes, protecting him, afraid I'll hit him. With that, he moved to push the door open. No, he's really my brother. Please believe me. I looked up at him pleadingly. Zhou Xian's Adam's apple bobbed as he replied in a hoarse voice. Lu Yu, do I look like an idiot to you? You really don't trust me. I clutched at the hem of his shirt. I can't let them meet now. Even if seduction won't work, I'll have to try it anyway. We've got to eliminate all unpredictable variables. My whole worldview's crumbling. Who knows if meeting in person would trigger quantum decoherence like my bullshit theory suggested, making one of the Zhou Xians just vanish into thin air. His hand dropped limply as he cursed under his breath with palpable irritation. God damn it, I'm such a fucking masochist. With that, he yanked me along rather roughly. I'll trust you this once. Try that again, Zhou Xian warned, his grip tightening around my wrist. A sudden pang of bitterness welled up in my heart. I couldn't help but throw myself into his arms. I knew what he offered wasn't trust, it was dignity. Zhou Xian kissed me with a desperate, possessive yet vulnerable intensity, crushing me against him as if trying to fuse our very bones. Don't leave me, his whisper at my ear scattered with the wind. I managed to stop Zhou Xian, but not the other one behind the door, leaning against the stair rail with hands in pockets. His silver-rimmed glasses softened the razor-sharp intensity of his gaze. Zhou Xian froze completely when he saw him. You're using me as a substitute. His face turned deathly pale, even his thin lips losing all color. Seriously? Masterclass in comprehension. I haven't explained yet. Zhou Xian spoke up coldly, with barely contained hostility. If you know how things stand, why aren't you leaving? What are you still hanging around for? He's quite the actor. My wrist ached from his grip, and as I instinctively tried to pull away, young Zhou Xian loosened his hold. If she really liked you, she wouldn't have come to me, let alone be standing by my side now. Now it was the other side's turn to go pale, since he already knows. There's no point holding back. Come here. Zhou Xian stopped looking at his younger self, shifting the pressure onto me. With things still unclear, Zhou Xian actually understood the situation best. I should go with him, yet the person standing beside me was so fragile, so heartbreakingly young. It just makes people reluctant to see him bear too much. I'll head back to campus first. We'll talk later. Gritting my teeth, I blurted this out before dragging little Zhou Xian away. I ignored the unmistakable, burning gaze of abandonment behind me. Little Zhou Xian still got away with it thanks to his youth. After all, I'm 25 now. Should have learned to care for the vulnerable. Zhou Xian stayed silent the whole way to campus, so I pulled him down to sit with me on Lover's Slope. Haven't had dinner yet. Zhou Xian braced his hands against the grass, expression turning icy. Did I starve you? Damn intense. Novel collection pushpin WeChat Japanese symbol for beginner. QQ number 1797328031. Given Zhou Xian's temper, the fact that he's sitting here quietly already moves me deeply. Don't think I'm full of lies, but what I'm about to say is true. I cleared my throat and cupped his face. After what felt like an eternity, Zhou Xian finally found his voice. That's me. He seemed to despise becoming that refined but rotten type. Are you his girlfriend? I tugged at his hand. And yours too. Zhou Xian let out a derisive snort, but he didn't say anything more, nor did he show any doubt. Is he here to take you away? Zhou Xian mumbled with his head hung low. You'll be with me when you grow up, I said affectionately, ruffling his hair. My memory clearly recalls Zhou Xian being perpetually insecure, just like the person standing before me now, not the one outside. Why do you always put up a tough front when you first see me? Still convinced I'd cheat on you? Was I wrong to think that? Well, if you insist on putting it that way, I guess not. I pursed my lips. Give me a proper answer, and maybe I'll stay, keep you company for the next 7 years. Zhou Xian froze, his slender fingers gradually tightening, his thin lips pressed together before he finally forced out the words. Seeing you makes my heart race. Then suddenly so sad I couldn't bear to face you. Sad? Yeah, just feeling down. So what does your Morse code mean? Bring her home. Bring who home? Zhou Xian gazed at me quietly and shook his head. I don't know. His eyes were so bright that even the slightest sorrow stood out vividly. I fell silent. Could it be that the Zhou Xian before me didn't belong to me after all? What kind of world is this? When he said he was upset, my mood instantly soured too. Leaving no room for petty jealousy, Zhou Xian walked me back to the dorm, then suddenly grabbed my wrist. Just go if you must. What? My eyes widened. You should return where you belong. It's only been 7 years, after all, though he said only, his eyes were already glistening. 6. Zhou Xian never saw me again. Daily updates pushpin WeChat, QQ1797328031, even outside campus. Zhou Xian was throwing a little tantrum. I sat beside him, yet felt no urge to comfort him. When he first arrived, I'd felt such warmth and affection, but after that day, my feelings took on a strange new quality. Lu Yu, is admitting your changed heart so difficult? Zhou Xian loomed over me with icy detachment. He finally broke the silence. Is this really what comes out of my mouth? Have I changed my heart? Did I fall for the younger version of him? I wanted to protest. No, I didn't. Zhou Xian suddenly leaned in, pinning me down with a fierce glare. Liar. The corners of his eyes were slightly reddened, his gaze heavy with suppressed anguish. He stood too close, his presence overwhelmingly aggressive, yet it pierced my heart so sharply that I instinctively turned away. But it's still you. His grip slackened as Zhou Xian grew dazed. You've really fallen out of love. A sudden hollowness washed over me. This is someone I've been with for a long time. 7 years later, we were deeply in love. We what? Why can't I recall even a shred of sweetness, not a single memory of those 7 years? I only know I love him, but can't find a reason why. I reached out to touch him, but he dodged. Even if he's my past self, I can't go back. I'm 26 now. Besides, he's not me. I was stunned. What? Zhou Xian exuded a heartbreaking air of despondency, his entire being radiating a pitiable. You were in a car accident and lost consciousness. I developed a machine to reactivate awareness. All of this is your imagination, trapping you in this mental world. I came to take you away. Yet you fell for a projection of your own mind. So who is this person in reality? Your college sweetheart. His voice was ice cold, and so was my heart. Add me on WeChat ASAP to stay connected. Pushpin, QQ number 17973280*31. Was any of this real? No wonder I can't remember anything about us 7 years later, and it didn't even feel strange. So none of it was real. My consciousness had been frozen long ago. You said something completely different when you first arrived. To fully synchronize with your consciousness, I'll have to sacrifice some memories. Even if I can't remember, I'll stay here with you. I couldn't hold back anymore. I threw my arms around him, tears streaming down his back. I'm sorry. I want to stay with you, but I need you to wake up more. Zhou Xian's voice was hoarse, barely recognizable, yet his hand still moved gently across my back, soothing and tender. I shouldn't be stuck here, since this is all just a world of consciousness. There are no rules left to follow. I need time to process these truths, spending my days basking in the apartment sunlight, no longer crossing to the school opposite. The reason I believed Zhou Xian's words so completely was this nagging feeling, like I'd already died once before. The sheer number of paradoxes left me no choice but to believe. The realization that this person meant to trap me made even the sunlight feel cold on my skin. Group admin's exclusive WeChat ID pushpin, QQ number 1797328031. Rubbing my arms, someone draped a coat over me. Feeling cold, I shook my head. Zhou Xian reached out to touch my head, but I instinctively dodged. His hand froze midair, his pale skin almost translucent in the sunlight. I'll go make dinner, I said, fleeing like a startled deer. left alone in the icy sunlight, consumed by guilt and unease. Zhou Xian, the boyfriend I adored beyond measure, my future husband, who spent untold time and effort developing a machine to save me, even risking his life to enter my consciousness and pull me out. Yet now, I no longer loved him. In the battle between him and that other man, the moment I realized my bias would last till death, I came to the profound understanding that all affection for this person had withered away. Sitting across from Zhou Xian, his dining mannerisms remained achingly familiar, sleeves casually rolled halfway, every movement deliberate and refined, mirroring the cultured poise of our school days. How could this not be the same person? How could it all be an illusion? Yet something felt inexplicably off, plunging me into momentary disorientation. Just 2 more days and we can leave. If you want to break up, we can talk about it later, but nothing matters more than you waking up. Zhou Xian didn't look up, his tone deceptively calm, yet every word made me feel his pain. I couldn't bring myself to say I won't leave you. At least not like this, not to him, making him believe I'd stay out of pity rather than love. That would break him, crush his pride. My mental world remains incomplete where I haven't ventured. Leaving China would allow Zhou Xian to break the shackles and take me away. So on that day when space-time stabilized, we rushed to the airport. The phone rang. It's Zhou Xian. He knew I was leaving today. We'd laid everything bare that night. He respected my decision completely, never reappeared, restraining himself so thoroughly that he felt vividly real. Someone I loved, not some fleeting illusion. Answer the call. Zhou Xian's pop-up notification flashed. I hesitated. Don't answer it. Zhou Xian beside me pressed down on my hand. Don't soften now. Let's go home, Luyu. I turned off the screen and nodded. Zhou Xian was using little Zhou Xian's ID card. As we were about to board, young Zhou Xian, who somehow broke into the airport, was being chased by a group of security guards. Luyu, come back. He's lying to you. Young Zhou Xian rarely lost control like this, his face deathly pale, my heart twisted in pain. Your consciousness will do everything to keep you here. But it's time, let's go. Zhou Xian shot the younger version a grim look, suppressing his emotions as he comforted me. Turn around with the person beside me. No, Luyu, Luyu. Little Zhou Xian's voice sounded so pitiful behind me, each cry echoing like a lifetime. The next moment, I suddenly broke free from Zhou Xian and ran toward it, but he was already swallowed by the crowd, pushed through the boarding gate. Impossible. The one I love has always been him. From beginning to end, my heart won't change. There's no one else. The security guard finally caught up with little Zhou Xian. I ran over to his side too. Pinned down by multiple people in complete disarray, he was nonetheless grinning from ear to ear. I leaned over, smiling at him. This man is Zhou Xian, the only one who matters, even if everything here is an illusion. So what? He's real, my beloved. I accompanied Zhou Xian through studies, watched him grow, and fell in love with him until our timelines converged 7 years later. The moment arrived to verify everything he'd claimed. I woke up, medical equipment covered my body. And Zhou Xian with his blue hair was slumped beside me, his silver-rimmed glasses set aside while his fingers held a consciousness stimulator. He slowly roused himself and smiled at me. Sleeping Beauty, you've been out for ages. So long that Zhou Xian had grown up, yet still dyed his hair blue, just so I'd recognize him. We were ready to get married right after graduation, but then I had that car accident. Zhou Xian spent 3 years building this machine, gambling everything against all warnings to brave the unknown dangers and wake me. But the machine developed its own consciousness, determined to keep me trapped inside as its eternal companion. Now fully adapted to this realm of consciousness, Zhou Xian remembered everything, his mission, all the memories, just as the machine's AI predicted, finally coming to claim the person he'd waited for so long. Just like that Morse code tattoo on his waist, if leaving was the right choice, he'd regret letting me go. If staying was better, he'd fight tooth and nail to keep me. Sweet epilogue. I'd been bedridden too long, my legs forgot how to walk, practicing daily by leaning on chairs, tired much. Zhou Xian lounged on the sofa, sucking a lollipop while giving me sympathetic puppy dog eyes, thinking I could slack off. I turned my pitiful gaze toward him, exhausted. Then call me hubby. He probably resented me calling the AI consciousness hubby. He found out while clearing the machine's memory and gave me passive-aggressive attitude for days. Hubby, my saccharine tone made even my own skin crawl. Good girl, not tired anymore. Let's keep going. Zhou Xian's brows relaxed, clearly pleased. What the hell do you mean? 5 more laps. I'd never agree to it, unless he gave me that threatening look. After all, Zhou Xian has 3 more years of life experience than me. I naturally think of him as being older and believe we should respect our elders, so I tend to defer to his opinions more. Exhausted, I collapsed onto the bed. Zhou Xian sat beside me and began massaging my shoulders. That tickles. Stop, I squirmed away from his touch. Don't provoke me. Zhou Xian pinned my shoulders down, preventing me from moving. What did I even do to you? You're the one who... My words were cut off by a sudden kiss. He chuckled by my ear. Just you talking. Even breathing gets to me. Once you learn to walk properly, we're getting married. I nudged him. Stop feeding me empty promises. Just admit you're embarrassed by my walking. Zhou Xian arched an eyebrow. If you're fine with me carrying you down the aisle, we could do it tomorrow. I do. That eager to get married. He looked unbearably smug. When Zhou Xian showed up with a wedding dress the next day, I suspected this had been his plan all along. When he actually carried me away, I suddenly became self-conscious, ashamed of not being able to walk, of appearing imperfect. Maybe. Are you out of your mind? Calling off my wedding? Zhou Xian pinched my cheek hard before sweeping me off my feet. A bride who can't walk at 25. That's badass. Babe, he kissed the tip of my nose, still teasing me. As the door opened, the warm and joyful atmosphere instantly embraced me. Alright, that's pretty cool. Made solemn vows before the priest. Zhou Xian used my health as an excuse to shoo away everyone interrupting our private time. Tired, Zhou Xian bent down to smooth my hair, skipping the usual banter. I grinned. Hubby. Zhou Xian narrowed his eyes. I'm worried about you, yet you're asking for trouble. Add backup contact pushpin WeChat. QQ number 1797328031. I'm exhausted. Too late. The night was pitch black, with complete silence blanketing everything. Zhou Xian held me close, his voice chilling and slightly trembling. Back then, I was truly terrified you'd leave with him. Never been so terrified in my life. Just when I finally get to see you, it feels like everything's about to fall apart. I lifted myself halfway and pressed my lips to his. It won't. You should have known from that first walk together at the apartment entrance. Liu would never leave Zhou Xian. The entire basketball court had their eyes on us, and the atmosphere instantly ignited. I thought something unmentionable was bound to happen this time, yet once again he held back. Go to sleep. I may not walk, but I'm still full of life. Seriously, are you incapable or what? Don't you dare marry me under false pretenses. Zhou Xian seemed to read my expression, covering my eyes with his hand. Liu, you'd better not be ungrateful, unless you want your remaining days to be miserable. I think you should distribute things more evenly, I suggested earnestly. Batting my eyelashes, his response was a cold sneer. Fuck, the blanket was pulled up. Well, that was ungrateful of me. Story 2, my childhood friend, who had always loved to stick by my side, suddenly couldn't hide his disgust for me. He unilaterally cancelled our engagement, took away the poor student I had sponsored, and doted on her by his side. Everyone around thought he was crazy, but only I knew that he had been reborn. The subtitles above his head kept scrolling. The first thing the male lead does after being reborn is, of course, to keep our delicate female lead by his side. Of course, the male lead will become the richest man in the future. Reborn 10 years earlier in this life, he can achieve even greater things. I just smiled. Without the support of my family's marriage alliance, even if my childhood friend was reborn as an embryo, he was destined to fail in this life. 1. The moment I took the initiative to reach out my hand to Lin Xingwei, his eyes changed. They went from shocked and delighted to tired and disgusted. Lin Xingwei pushed me away violently, his words as cold as ice. Miss Xian, please stop throwing yourself at me. I don't like you. The onlookers gasped, because everyone knew that it was Lin Xingwei who had always clung to me. We had been engaged since childhood and were true childhood sweethearts. Lin Xingwei had vowed to marry me. Even when I was about to study abroad, he didn't hesitate and was willing to wait for me to return. But now, why had everything changed? Lin Xingwei looked at me coldly and said with his thin lips, by the way, give Wanner to me. I'll take good care of her. Feng Wanner was the poor student I sponsored. It was only because of my financial support that she had the opportunity to study at an elite school. I asked her, are you sure? Lin Xingwei frowned, his eyes contemptuous. Whether you agree or not, I will take Wanner away. She is kind and innocent and must not be tainted by the smell of money from your Xian family. I laughed. Was it possible that Lin Xingwei thought he was pure and noble, when in fact he was the one who had benefited the most from my family? 2. Lin Xingwei accurately found Feng Wanner in the crowd and grabbed her wrist. Wanner, come with me. As long as I'm here, no one will dare to bully you. The subtitles above his head kept scrolling. I'm so into this. The first thing the male lead does after being reborn is, of course, to keep our delicate female lead by his side. Of course, the male lead will be the richest man in the future. reborn 15 years earlier in this life, he can achieve even greater things. As the subtitles scrolled, I suddenly understood. It turned out that I was the vicious supporting female character, arrogant, overbearing, but rich. My parents had already paved the way for the rest of my life. All I had to do was go to school, get married, and inherit the family business step by step, and I could easily reach the peak of my life. Since my life was too smooth and I was bored, I picked a few children of debtors to study with me. I waived their tuition and living expenses as a kind act. Feng Wanner was one of them, because she somewhat resembled me in appearance. I favored her especially and transferred her to the class where Lin Xingwei and I were. Later, I went abroad to study. Lin Xingwei, feeling lonely, actually found Feng Wanner to be his substitute. While I was studying abroad, the two of them had a dramatic love affair. Lin Xingwei, who didn't even want to buy a plane ticket, missed me while passionately having a relationship with Feng Wanner. When I returned home, Lin Xingwei abruptly abandoned Feng Wanner, but at our wedding, he suddenly realized that Feng Wanner was the woman he loved most in his life. Lin Xingwei endured hardships and finally became the richest man 5 years after our marriage, planning to rekindle his relationship with Feng Wanner. However, he didn't expect that she had died of liver cancer 2 years earlier. Their love-hate story became an eternal legend. Fortunately, Lin Xingwei was reborn. This time, he followed his heart, resolutely dumped me, and planned to be with Feng Wanner. What passionate and sincere love. I believe in love again. The supporting female character looks so awkward. She's been slapped in the face by both the male and female leads. I almost feel sorry for her. This teaches us a lesson. Money isn't everything. It can't buy love or true feelings. I smiled. Although money couldn't buy love or true feelings, it could buy the opportunity to destroy love and shatter true feelings. I looked at Feng Wanner and beckoned. What will you choose? Feng Wanner bit her lip, looking indecisive. After all, Lin Xingwei was handsome and was recognized as the campus heartthrob by the girls at school. She couldn't help but feel a secret joy at receiving Lin Xingwei's exclusive favor. Feng Wanner hesitated. I immediately understood her choice and smiled. Okay, I respect your decision. Feng Wanner's face lit up. I continued. Pay me back the tuition and living expenses for the past 3 years, and we'll be even. Feng Wanner's face instantly turned pale. The tuition at an elite school cost hundreds of thousands of yuan a year. Moreover, she had always tried to match my standard of living in terms of food, clothing, and daily expenses, which also cost 6 figures a year. Asking Feng Wanner to pay such a large sum of money at once was like a pipe dream. Seeing this, Lin Xingwei stepped forward. He spoke in a domineering president-like manner. Wanner, don't worry. I'll pay this money for you. Feng Wanner's eyes sparkled with admiration. And she said shyly, Master Lin, you're so kind, but I shattered their dreams mercilessly. Lin Xingwei said impatiently, what do you want? I've made it very clear, I don't like you. Please stop pestering me. I put my finger to my lips. I almost forgot about you. When are you going to pay back the tuition you owe? 3. The subtitles exploded. The supporting female character is so despicable. She's trying to break up this poor couple with money. Wasn't the male lead a good match for the supporting female character? Why can't he afford this small amount of money? The Lin family is only superficially prosperous. All their money has been squandered by his philandering father. They were right. A family that could marry into the Xian family was naturally not an ordinary one. Grandpa Lin and my grandpa had been comrades in arms for decades. The old men had a deep friendship, which was why they arranged a betrothal between Lin Xingwei and me when we were children. But since Grandpa Lin passed away 10 years ago, the Lin family had been declining. Lin Xingwei's parents were constantly having affairs and had countless illegitimate children. The collateral branches of the family fought for power, creating a chaotic and messy situation at home. In such circumstances, Lin Xingwei's life was not prosperous. He looked glamorous on the surface, but in fact, he was worse off than an ordinary well-off family. It was me who begged my parents not to cancel the engagement. I also begged my uncle, who was a school board member, to waive Lin Xingwei's tuition. Lin Xingwei knew very well about my efforts. Due to his so-called masculine pride, he never thanked me. Instead of being grateful, he accused me of throwing myself at him. He didn't realize that without the support of my family's marriage alliance, even if Lin Xingwei was reborn as an embryo, he was destined to fail in this life. I simply laid my cards on the table and held out my hand right in front of his eyes. What are you waiting for? Pay up. Beads of sweat rolled down Lin Xingwei's forehead. Not knowing the difficult situation of the Lin family, Feng Wanner fanned the flames beside him. Miss, why be so aggressive? Master Lin will pay you every penny. Just wait. The subtitles scrolled. Yes, yes. When husband and wife work together, they can overcome anything. As long as the male and female leads work hard together, becoming the richest people in the world is just around the corner, then the supporting female character will regret it, but it will be too late. Lin Xingwei, as if he had seen the words on the subtitles or thought of his success in the previous life, puffed out his chest and said righteously, I knew you were money-grubbing, but I didn't expect you to be so materialistic. Don't worry, I'll pay off all the debts. From now on, we're done. And there will be no more interaction between us. As sonorous and forceful as his words were, his figure was just as embarrassed when he rolled out of the school with a snake skin bag on his back, sitting on a tricycle. Feng Wanner's white dress was stained with dust, and she looked panicked. Master Lin, are we really going to drop out of school? Lin Xingwei took her hand and smiled. Wanner, don't be afraid, I've already found a new school. As long as we can be together. What do we have to fear, even if there are mountains of knives and seas of fire ahead? Feng Wanner forced a smile. Before the Feng family went bankrupt, she was a little princess doted on by everyone. Even after the bankruptcy, she didn't suffer much because of my sponsorship. She had thought that getting close to Lin Xingwei would allow her to cross social classes, but she didn't expect a big gap between her ideals and reality. While they were talking, the driver took me to the school gate. I gracefully got out of the car, followed by two students, a boy and a girl. One carried my bag, and the other opened the door for me. When Lin Xingwei saw this scene, he wore a determined expression. He said to Feng Wanner, Xian Han is coming for me. If she means no good, you run away. She won't dare to do anything to me. Feng Wanner clutched the hem of her skirt and nodded. Lin Xingwei took a deep breath, as if going to his death. Xian Han, stop pestering me. I won't give in. Give up your idea. I stopped, not even glancing at him. Where are the security guards? Throw out the irrelevant people. A security guard rushed over and pushed Lin Xingwei out of the school gate. I walked into the school leisurely, not looking back once. The subtitles were filled with arguments. What's going on? Shouldn't the supporting female character cry, make a scene, and threaten to commit suicide to keep the male lead? Don't worry. The supporting female character is playing hard to get. I don't believe she can give up the 18-year friendship. Despite her show of power now, her heart must be bleeding. I sneered. Lin Xingwei and I had been childhood friends for 18 years, plus 5 years of married life in the previous life. He still broke things off without hesitation, so what was there for me to miss? Goodbye is goodbye. The next one will be even better. 4. Feng Wanner looked at Lin Xingwei, then at me, and finally couldn't help but say, Miss, actually I. Lin Xingwei interrupted her angrily. Wanner, you don't need to beg her. I, Lin Xingwei, am a man of my word and will never bow down to a woman. After saying that, Lin Xingwei handed a 10 yuan bill to the rickshaw driver, telling him to hurry up. Feng Wanner hesitated. The idea of crossing social classes through marriage prevailed, and she obediently crouched in the back seat of the tricycle. The two of them disappeared into the distant horizon. Seeing this, the poor male and female students behind me moved closer, afraid that I would change my mind and stop Lin Xingwei and Feng Wanner. They had finally got the chance to serve me closely and enjoy more resources of the upper class. How could they be willing to give it up? The subtitles remained in front of my eyes. In this modern society, the supporting female character still acts like a feudal remnant. It's really unbearable. No wonder the male lead left her. She's too overbearing. Who would like her? When the male lead becomes successful, don't blame him for hiring the supporting female character to clean toilets. Just thinking of that scene makes me want to laugh. My eyes darkened. Hire me to clean toilets. I'd rather pull Lin Xingwei's head off and throw it into the toilet. There was plenty of time ahead. I wanted to see what he was capable of and if he could ride roughshod over me. 5. After transferring to a public school, Lin Xingwei tried to save up startup capital by tutoring. I made a call to the mayor's hotline and reported him for illegal teaching. Lin Xingwei wanted to get rich by buying lottery tickets. I bought all the lottery tickets before him and even won several million yuan. Whatever Lin Xingwei tried to do, I sabotaged. The subtitles were so angry that they started cursing. The male lead has achieved nothing. Can he really give the female lead a happy life? The supporting female character is terrifying. She'll do anything to get the male lead back. This is a twisted kind of love. The subtitles were talking nonsense, but Lin Xingwei believed them. He asked me to meet him at a restaurant near the school gate. His eyes were full of contempt when he looked at me. Xian Han, have you had enough? I crossed my arms, keeping a distance from him. What do you mean? Stop pretending. Lin Xingwei snorted. Don't think I don't know what you've been up to behind my back. You've used every trick in the book to force me back to you, but my heart belongs to Wanner, and I will never give in because of your measly money. As he spoke, saliva flew out of his mouth and landed in the greasy cup. I felt nauseous. Don't flatter yourself. if you hadn't told me you'd pay back the money, do you think I'd want to see you? Lin Xingwei wouldn't let it go. Humph, duplicity, if you don't like me, why are you targeting me everywhere? Anyone with sense knows the reason. I was so angry that I laughed. If someone slapped Lin Xingwei twice, he'd probably think they were into SM. The reason I targeted Lin Xingwei was to nip the risks in the bud. Without the support of my family, the probability of Lin Xingwei becoming the richest man was only 1 in a million, but even with such a slim chance, I would never let him grow unchecked. Since ancient times, the business world has been like a battlefield. Those who can't be ruthless will be eliminated by the times. Lin Xingwei thought I was trapped in petty love, but he didn't know that my vision had extended to the future. In fact, it was he himself who couldn't get out of this past relationship. 6. I was too lazy to argue with Lin Xingwei and picked up my bag to leave. Lin Xingwei hurriedly blocked my way. You haven't promised to stay out of my life. You can't leave. He even grabbed my wrist. Bang. Before I could react, Lin Xingwei flew out and crashed into a large number of tables and chairs in the restaurant. Wei Huai, the poor student I sponsored, appeared. He had been waiting outside. He came in to check when he heard the commotion inside. He couldn't hold back and kicked Lin Xingwei when he saw him getting handsy with me. Wei Huai walked up to me, carefully holding my hand. There was no stupid love in his eyes, only a craving for money. Miss, are you okay? I shook my head and said to the stunned restaurant manager, tell me the amount of the damage, I'll pay for it. The manager came to his senses and quickly started calculating the losses. Lin Xingwei lay on the floor, covered in soup. His cheap clothes were torn, and soup was dripping from his hair, making him look extremely confounded. As he struggled to get up, his eyes were bloodshot. You poor bastard, how dare you hit me? Do you want to die? Unlike Lin Xingwei and Feng Wanner, who were from fallen aristocratic families, Wei Huai was a genuine poor student. He relied on government subsidies even for his compulsory education. My father, recognizing his talent, saw his name on the honor roll of the high school entrance examination and generously took care of his living expenses and tuition, only asking him to tutor me in my studies. However, I didn't like studying and usually ignored Wei Huai as if he were Heir. Lin Xingwei knew about his existence but never took him seriously. Now, though, Wei Huai had suddenly become my right-hand man, and Lin Xingwei finally panicked. Xian Han, even if you want to make me turn back, there's no need to find some random guy to provoke me, right? The way you're throwing yourself at him so cheaply just makes me feel disgusted. I stopped in my tracks and glanced at Wei Huai, understanding my signal. He landed a left hook that sent Lin Xingwei crashing to the ground. The chili oil and vinegar on the dining table spilled all over him, and he reeked of the strong smell. Physics-level jealousy. What's going on? I came here to watch the growth of a domineering CEO and campus romance, not to see the male lead getting bullied. Did the male lead get the wrong script? Take a left turn and go to the male-oriented novels. Follow the breaking the engagement and cultivation storyline. It's the female supporting character who's supposed to be the one with the broken engagement. Okay, doesn't she like the male lead? Why isn't she chasing after him to make amends instead of sending her fiancé to his doom? The bullet comments finally caught on. My disgust for Lin Xingwei didn't seem like an act. Words could deceive, and expressions could be faked, but the force of a real punch couldn't be simulated. That was a brutal beating. If I had even the slightest bit of affection for Lin Xingwei, I would never have allowed Wei Huai to mistreat him. The bullet commenters didn't know that out of our longtime friendship as childhood neighbors, I once had high hopes for him. Since he held the title of my fiancé, he shouldn't be an uneducated and incompetent man, so I paid for Lin Xingwei's schooling, subsidized his living expenses, and tried to enhance his reputation, so that he wouldn't lower my status when standing beside me. But he was greedy, ungrateful, and even turned against me. Then he shouldn't blame me for using some underhanded methods to deal with this so-called high-class person. 7. From that day on, Lin Xingwei became more subdued. The bullet comments daily reported on his love life with Feng Wanner, and it was clear that they weren't living a happy life. The female lead has to work at a convenience store after evening self-study. She's so hard-working. The male lead stays in the rental house every day waiting for the female lead to come home and cook. Can't he do some housework? Come on. The male lead is going to be the world's richest man. How could he do such menial chores? Besides, as long as there's love, the female lead will be touched. It's the female lead's birthday next week. I wonder what gift he'll prepare. I remember that in the previous life, the female lead received a Cartier bracelet as a gift. At that time, she wasn't even the male lead's girlfriend yet. She's surely going to get an even more expensive gift this time. The bullet comments fantasized about the bright future of Lin Xingwei and Feng Wanner, but I scoffed. If I remembered correctly, It was my money that Lin Xingwei used to buy the gift in his previous life. It's easy to be generous when spending others' money. Would he still be so lavish when he had to pay out of his own pocket? On the weekend, I took Wei Huai and another underprivileged student, Tan Ku, shopping at the mall. The salesgirls greeted us with smiles and enthusiastically introduced the latest seasonal products. I looked around and pointed, I want everything over there and here. Wrap them up and send them to my place. Wei Huai and Tan Ku were used to my extravagance and stood by, waiting for my orders. Just as I was resting on the sofa, a commotion suddenly reached my ears. Water, today is your birthday. And I want to give you a special gift. It was Lin Xingwei's voice. He had actually come to the luxury store too. Feng Wanner was extremely delighted, and her face beamed like a blooming flower. I knew you wouldn't let me down. I understand that these days were your test for me. Don't worry, whether we're poor or rich, I'll always be by your side. The bullet comments went wild. This is true love. They're indeed my top-ranked couple. They must be happy forever. The female supporting character must be grinding her teeth in jealousy. So what if she's rich? She'll never have love as sincere as the female leads. Lin Xingwei looked at Feng Wanner with affection and gently stroked her hair. The store clerk quickly approached. Welcome, sir and madam. What can I do for you? Feng Wanner blurted out. Show me the most expensive. Lin Xingwei interrupted her and said to the clerk. Can I have a rose from the bouquet at the door? The clerk, not understanding, nodded. Lin Xingwei plucked a rose from the bouquet at the door and handed it to Feng Wanner. Happy birthday, Wanner. 8. The rose looked withered, its petals dry and yellow. Compared with the luxurious interior of the store, it was rather shabby. Feng Wanner's smile froze on her face. Xingwei, are you kidding me? What she wanted as a birthday gift was luxury items and the envious glances of others, not a random, wilted rose. Lin Xingwei remained calm and pinned the rose behind his girlfriend's ear. This is your birthday gift, don't you like it? She didn't just dislike it. Feng Wanner was furious. She snatched the rose from behind her ear and threw it on the ground. Are you crazy? Who wants this lousy rose? Do you think I'm a beggar? Lin Xingwei frowned slightly. It's still my heartfelt gift. If you don't like it, that's fine, but why humiliate me? If I had known you were such a gold digger, I wouldn't have been with you. Feng Wanner sneered and shook off Lin Xingwei's hand. Me, a gold digger? How noble are you? I've been working to pay for the rent and living expenses. What have you contributed? Lin Xingwei sighed. One should have long-term vision. When I'm rich, I can give you anything you want. Feng Wanner laughed angrily. Bah, still making empty promises. I'm not a fool. I'd rather go back to the Xian family and serve Xian Han than be your free maid. Her words hit hard. Lin Xingwei seemed deeply insulted, his eyes turning red. Me, having you as my maid. I'm the one who's been struggling to support you. I go to class during the day and work hard at my part-time job at night. All for our future. Do you know whose love you're receiving? It's the love of the future world's richest man. I couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. Lin Xingwei spun around as if electrocuted, his face turning extremely pale. Feng Wanner flinched, her arrogance vanishing. Miss Xian. She seemed eager to rush over and pour out her grievances about these tough days. However, Wei Huai and Tan Ku weren't about to let their cash cow go. They firmly stood in front of me and blocked Feng Wanner. She cursed. Get out of my way, you poor wretches. How dare you act so high and mighty in front of me? I'll make you pay when I get back to the Xian family. Wei Huai and Tan Ke remained expressionless. They knew very well who was in charge of the Xian family. Feng Wanner was like a dog that had bitten its master, then gone out, suffered, and now wanted to come back to its master for food. Unfortunately, there's no turning back from mistakes. The moment she betrayed me, she should have known there was no going back. Lin Xingwei reacted much more calmly, ignoring the hysterical Feng Wanner. He gave a bitter smile. Xian Han, this is your scheme, isn't it? Congratulations, you've won. You've defeated me with money. You can have my body, but the price is that you'll never have my heart. Let's go. I'm willing to fulfill our engagement. With that, he closed his eyes, looking resigned to his fate. Facing this so-called touching scene, I turned to Tan Ku. How much does pig heart cost per caddy? Tan Ku was taken aback and hesitated. About 10 odd yuan per caddy at the wet market. I think, I nodded. Go buy 10 caddies and give them to Lin Xingwei. If there are pig brains available, get a few caddies too. He could use the brain supplement. Ha 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 ha. The female supporting character's words are too harsh. They're self-destructively sarcastic. I'm now sure the female supporting character really has fallen out of love. The male lead and female lead should just get together. Lin Xingwei stared in disbelief. And the rose in his hand dropped to the ground. I turned and left. With Feng Wanner's cries echoing behind me, without the support of money, this relationship shed its naivete and shattered its illusions, leaving them nothing but a mess. 9. Life got back on track. I was busy with school, exams, and preparing my portfolio to apply for overseas universities, gradually forgetting about Lin Xingwei. But while I had moved on, my parents hadn't. They stormed over to the Lin family demanding an explanation, and when they got home, they started looking for a new marriage partner for me. I firmly refused. I haven't achieved anything in my career yet. How can I think about starting a family? Mom and Dad, stop pushing me. It's not too late to find someone after I graduate. My parents couldn't persuade me and had to give in. Before I left, they held a banquet for me, inviting young talents of my age and social status. If I took a liking to someone, that person could become my fiancé. If not, we'd wait until after I graduated. I reluctantly agreed. On the day of the banquet, I dressed up extravagantly and mingled among the elders, winning countless compliments. As if by mutual agreement, no one mentioned Lin Xingwei's name. He was like a forgotten ripple, disappearing beneath the turbulent waves of high society. After a few drinks, I accepted an invitation from a young man to dance. My parents watched us with loving eyes, looking very pleased. The music flowed like water until a harsh voice cut through the air. Xian Han, you're my fiancé, yet you're dancing with someone else. Do you still have me, your fiancé, in your eyes? Lin Xingwei suddenly appeared out of nowhere, his eyes sharp and his aura gloomy, but paired with his cheap synthetic fiber clothes, he didn't look like the brooding, domineering CEO from novels. Instead, he resembled a stalker on the street. Everyone was shocked by this unexpected turn of events and started whispering among themselves. Standing on the stairs and looking down at the crowd, Lin Xingwei said in a hoarse voice, "This game should end now. Xian Han, if you come with me to register our marriage now, I'll forgive your mistake." Even the most good-natured person would be enraged by such words, and I was never known for my good temper. Dark anger welled up in my eyes, and I remained silent. Wei Huai, quick to notice, stepped in to defuse the situation. How did this uninvited person get in? Security, escort him out. Lin Xingwei flew into a rage. Who do you think you are to talk to me? Once I marry Xian Han, the first thing I'll do is kick you out of the Xian family. Just because she dotes on you doesn't mean you're special. Go back to your slum. You'll never be able to cross into our upper-class world. Many of the guests had risen from humble beginnings, and they turned livid upon hearing these words. The male lead is being too arrogant. Does he think he's so noble? A fallen phoenix is worse than a chicken. He doesn't even understand such a simple truth. The male lead just wants to feel superior, but he doesn't realize he's the clown. The bullet comments saw through Lin Xingwei's true nature. When someone is in a high position, thoughtless words can be glossed over as signs of informality, but when someone is in a low position, presumptuously giving orders can be a fatal mistake. Without my intervention, others were more than happy to teach him a lesson. The security guards grabbed Lin Xingwei's arms and dragged him towards the door. Lin Xingwei shuddered, his pupils dilated, and he suddenly broke free. Let go of me. I'm the son-in-law of the Xian family. Don't you dare touch me. Xian Han, don't you love me the most? Come and say something for me. I waved my hand, and the security guards released his arms. He collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath like a dog that had been whipped, but with a triumphant smile on his face. I knew you couldn't bear to part with me. I walked gracefully towards Lin Xingwei in my high-heeled boots. Indeed, there's something about you that I can't let go of. 10. Hope flickered in Lin Xingwei's eyes. I held out my hand. Pay back the money you owe me. Over the years, I had invested hundreds of thousands of yuan in Lin Xingwei. Originally, I didn't care about this money and thought of it as money thrown away, but Lin Xingwei's repeated provocations had infuriated me. Since he didn't want to live a peaceful life and insisted on getting into huge debt, I'd make sure he did. Lin Xingwei's heart shattered. Xian Han, you wouldn't be this heartless, right? I smiled slightly. Sorry, but I am. I'll send the bill to the Lin family. Make sure to check it. Lin Xingwei was kicked out of the Xian family, filled with regret. Why had he given up on me, the heir of a wealthy family, for a vain, poor student? But Lin Xingwei didn't have time to dwell on it. The heavy burden of life came crashing down on him. His father suddenly had a stroke and died in his mistress's bed, a disgraceful end. His mother ran away with the money, the final straw that broke the camel's back. Creditors came knocking, claiming that his father had owed a mountain of high-interest loans and that as the son, Lin Xingwei had to pay back 1,000,000 yuan within the specified time limit. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Lin Xingwei bought a bus ticket and tried to flee that very night, but before the bus could leave, he was dragged off by debt collectors, thrown into a dark room, and severely beaten. I learned all this from Wei Huai. He stayed in the country to attend university, and my parents planned to train him to be my capable assistant. Wei Huai said. Lin Xingwei is now desperate. He goes to the Xian group every day to block the entrance, demanding that you marry him with your dowry, otherwise, he threatens to. He paused, then continued, otherwise, he'll reveal the company's secrets. I raised an eyebrow. Indeed, as my husband for 5 years in his previous life, Lin Xingwei knew some of the company's secrets, since his emotional tactics hadn't worked. He was now resorting to blackmail. He was dreaming. I called the police without hesitation. The Xian family is a major taxpayer in the local area, providing countless job opportunities. It's not something that Lin Xingwei can easily bring down with just a few words. With a series of operations on my part, he finally ended up in prison on the charge of extortion. As for Feng Wanner, I happened to meet her abroad. She was following a pot-bellied man with a forced smile on her face. Wearing heavy and gaudy makeup, she no longer had the fresh and charming appearance of the past. When Feng Wanner saw me shopping with Tan Ku, trying to hide her embarrassment, she said to the man cautiously, "Honey, I'm not feeling well, let's go back early." The man cursed and turned away. Feng Wanner, in her high heels, clattered after him. Tan Ku asked me, "Miss, do you want to stop her?" I shook my head. Whether it's Lin Xingwei or Feng Wanner, they are just passers-by in my life. They have faded out of my world and can no longer stir up the slightest trouble. That's it. Extra chapter. Lin Xingwei. 1. For me, life is just an easy game. My fiancée is the highly praised young lady of the Xian family, from an illustrious family, elegant and generous, and I myself have managed to turn the tide, bringing the dying Lin Corporation back from the brink of bankruptcy. I have become a success in the eyes of the world, but I'm not satisfied with this. Success came too easily, leaving my heart feeling a bit empty. Just then, Feng Wanner appeared in my world. She was melancholy and broken, silently following behind Xian Han, enduring the orders of this young lady. My heart was struck. Later, when Xian Han went abroad, I naturally got together with Feng Wanner. I loved her purity but hated her plainness. I betrayed Xian Han, yet I didn't think I was being too excessive. I told myself that Feng Wanner was just a substitute for Xian Han. When the real one came back from abroad, I would just give Feng Wanner a sum of money and send her away far. Despite all my calculations, I failed to predict my own heart. I fell in love with Wanner. She was different from Xian Han. At a young age, she had witnessed great ups and downs, yet she remained calm in the face of adversity. I thought such a life could go on forever, but the good times didn't last long. When Xian Han graduated and returned home, Wanner died of liver cancer. My life lost its color. Even though Xian Han helped me manage the company's affairs and assisted me in becoming the world's richest man, I still didn't treat her well. Since Wanner was dead, what was the use of all the money to me? Fortunately, God gave me a chance to start over. I was reborn on the day I confessed to Xian Han. Facing her outstretched hand, I pushed her away without thinking and turned to embrace Wanner. Wanner's cheeks were flushed, more beautiful than a delicate rose. The bullet comments were also cheering for my performance. In this life, I will follow my heart and never let myself be wronged again, too. But the development of the situation was beyond my imagination. I thought Xian Han would cry and beg me not to leave, so that I could humiliate her severely and avenge Wanner from the previous life. Unexpectedly, she didn't spare me an extra glance but directly asked for the money. What a joke. Money. I had plenty of it. I reached into my pocket, intending to take out my black card and throw it in Xian Han's face, but I only touched a campus card, which was actually handled for me by Xian Han. I belatedly realized that I was only 18 years old at this time and had not yet become the world-famous richest man. But it doesn't matter. Don't look down on a young man because of his poverty. Given time, I will surely wash away today's humiliation. I'll just owe Xian Han the money for now and deal with it later. 3. A gentleman can endure poverty and will not bow down for a small amount of money. I want to drop out of school. The extravagant atmosphere of the noble school makes me feel sick. It's definitely not because I can't afford the tuition fees and have been isolated by my classmates. As soon as I made up my mind, I planned to take Wanner and drop out of school together, and transfer to a public school with the lowest expenses. However, Wanner seemed a bit reluctant. I patted my chest and promised, "As long as I'm here, I will never let you be wronged, even if there is some temporary grievance. I believe that the future is promising." Reluctantly, Wanner got on the tricycle I hired. With a resentful expression, I suddenly remembered that there was still 2,000 yuan left on my meal card. Why not sell it to my classmates and make a little profit? Wanner waited for me in the cold wind, shivering from the cold. When I was ready to leave after handling all the matters, Xian Han arrived at the school gate gracefully in a private car. The license plate number from Beijing had 5 8s. In the previous life, it was clearly my vehicle. I swallowed my resentment and watched coldly. Even if Xian Han gave me the car on the spot, I would never become the son-in-law of the Xian family, surprisingly. Xian Han didn't show the slightest sign of trying to keep me. On the contrary, there were two new attendants following behind her. They were more handsome and beautiful than me and Warner. My anger flared up, but my self-restraint was good enough that I didn't question Xian Han's intentions. What a clever move of retreating to advance. Women. Xian Han cast a puzzled look at me. I proudly puffed out my chest. But what I heard was her order to have me thrown out. This wasn't right. Without time to think further, I angrily jumped onto the tricycle. A woman who turns from love to hate is really terrifying. There's no way. My charm is just that great. But charm can't be used as food. After transferring to the public school, I still had to worry about my livelihood. Xian Han launched a fierce pursuit of me, trying to force me to give in. Even if I starved to death, I wouldn't separate from Warner. But Warner's resentment grew stronger and stronger. She was no longer as delicate and sensitive as in the previous life, but instead was hysterical like a shrew. Firewood, rice, oil, salt, electricity bills, and water bills became the unchanging topics in her mouth. Looking at Feng Warner's face, I couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Was this still the woman who talked about romantic things with me and obeyed me in everything? Feeling disappointed, I couldn't help but contact Xian Han, maybe by looking at her face I could rekindle my love for Warner. Xian Han was still as elegant as ever. She glanced at me indifferently, showing neither joy nor sorrow. A strange sense of satisfaction welled up in me. It seemed that Xian Han still loved me. Otherwise, why would she come to the appointment? Before I could say a few words, Xian Han shyly ran away. How could I let her go? I reached out to hold her wrist just like in the previous life. But before I could touch that softness, Wei Hui rushed in front of me and kicked me away. I was enraged. For a moment, Xian Han was actually having an affair with a poor guy. Where did she put the face of me? Her fiancé. Men have their pride. Xian Han had gone too far. I wouldn't forgive her. Before I could utter my harsh words, Xian Han turned and left. She must not want me to see her tears, right? Well, it's not impossible to forgive her. I returned to the rental house with a bruised face. Seeing this, Feng Warner had a big argument with me again. The meal was cold, and there was no food in the pot. I was extremely tired and just wanted to lie lazily on the bed and rest. Suddenly, an idea popped into my head. In fact, it wouldn't be bad to make up with Xian Han. At least the servants in her house were sensible and could take good care of me. Later, it was Feng Warner's birthday. I kindly took her to a luxury store to see the world and gave her a romantic rose, unexpectedly. Feng Warner had a fit on the spot and said she might as well go back to the Xian family and be a servant. I was angry. Being a servant for Xian Han could indeed bring generous rewards, but could she get a love that could move heaven and earth? When did Feng Warner become so vulgar? There was a snort of laughter from the corner. I looked closely and saw Xian Han laughing freely. She must think that I had broken up with Feng Warner. I was disheartened, even though I'm a genius. I still can't escape Xian Han's clutches after all. Forget it, I admit defeat. I will live a good life with Xian Han in the future and lie on the cold banknotes every day to remember this love that ended without a result. But why couldn't Xian Han stop laughing? And the bullet comments were also scolding me for relying on women while acting arrogantly. They clearly supported me being with Feng Warner before. 5. My fate is in my own hands, not in the hands of heaven. The more the bullet comments try to manipulate my life, the more I won't let them have their way. As soon as I got back to the rental house, I immediately broke up with Feng Warner. She didn't even take her change of clothes and fled away in a hired car as fast as she could. I let out a long sigh. I packed my luggage and prepared to move into the Xian family's house. Calculating the time, Xian Han was almost at the time to study abroad. This time, I'm willing to reluctantly go abroad with her to prevent that guy named Wei from stealing her heart. With great difficulty, I sneaked into the Xian family's villa, thinking about how to make up with Xian Han. However, she gave me a heavy blow. She actually danced with a strange man in full view of everyone. Did she still remember that she was a married woman? I was extremely angry and blurted out some unpleasant words. Xian Han's eyes looking at me gradually turned cold. No, it shouldn't be like this. Despite the whispers of the crowd and the sarcasm of the bullet comments, I reached out my hand to Xian Han. Lin Xingwei frowned and looked at me with contempt. What greeted me were the fists of the security guards raining down on me. I was thrown out of the Xian family's house and had to lick my wounds alone. There came the sad news from home. My father had a stroke and died, and my mother ran away with the money. From then on, I became truly alone. I gave a bitter smile, as the saying goes. When heaven is about to bestow a great responsibility on someone, it must first test his will. Xian Han, I'm willing to play the good show of a bitter and deep love with you, but as soon as I finished my harsh words, the police came to my door. They said I was suspected of spreading rumors and slander and invited me to the police station for a talk. I finally experienced Xian Han's coldness and ruthlessness firsthand, but it doesn't matter, as long as I persevere. She will surely come back to me obediently. After all, my charm is irresistible. A year later, I was released from prison after serving my sentence and prepared to go abroad to find Xian Han and resume our relationship, but I didn't have a penny on me and couldn't even afford a one-way plane ticket, so I had to go to the construction site to carry bricks and save money. I will become the world's richest man. I will make Xian Han turn around for me. I will. Suddenly, the steel bar above my head fell down, accompanied by the screams of other workers. My beautiful dream, completely shattered. Story 2. In my previous life, I was in the 7th year of my relationship with my boyfriend when I died in a sudden flood. My soul lingered and stayed by his side. I watched him wander through his days and a days, breaking down into tears over the news of my death. I saw him abandon everything else and wither away, clinging to our memories until his last moments. As his life came to an end, he held a photo of me and vowed never to let go of my hand in the next life. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day of the flood, with the memories of my previous life. I managed to survive and eventually married him. However, the man who loved me so deeply in my past life that he could die of heartbreak betrayed me 5 years into our marriage, just when I had become pregnant. I first saw them at the hospital lobby. The girl seemed to be injured. Haisuko rushed into the hospital with her in his arms, charging through the crowd as he shouted for people to make way. He was so panicked that he didn't see anyone else, not even me, so, when he ran past me, he accidentally bumped into me, causing me to lose balance and fall to the ground. My prenatal checkup papers were even stepped on by him. A nurse helped me up and picked up the papers, muttering, "Your girlfriend is precious. But someone else's wife and child are treasures too." After 7 years of dating and 5 years of marriage, I recognized him instantly, even just from his back. I had never seen the girl before. Perhaps she was a colleague, a friend, or maybe just an injured stranger he had met by chance on the street. For that moment, I believed in his love for me and trusted he wouldn't betray me. But something compelled me to follow them discreetly. At the orthopedic clinic, I saw them again as they entered the consultation room together. The door wasn't fully closed, so I stood by the doorway, peeking through the crack. The girl had injured her ankle and sat on a chair, sobbing continuously. A teardrop-shaped, crystal-clear necklace hung around her neck, shimmering beautifully. Haisuko sat beside the girl, holding her hand tightly, repeatedly comforting her in a soft voice. "It's just a minor sprain. It won't hurt." The girl was still scared, so Haisuko wrapped his arms around her. The doctor chuckled and teased, "Your little girlfriend is quite delicate." Haisuko laughed too, wiped her tears, and continued to coax her gently. "Yes, she's incredibly delicate, cries every day." Listening to Haisuko's words, the girl playfully acted angry and punched him several times in the chest. "Haisuko, if you find me annoying or too delicate, then just leave me alone." Haisuko shook his head, his smile affectionate. "Even if you're delicate, I still like it." With just a few simple words, he cheered up the girl and even made the doctor laugh. They looked just like a couple deeply in love, and there I was, standing still, feeling like a thief spying on someone else's happiness. I never imagined that Haisuko would betray me. We both had humble beginnings, abandoned by our biological parents and growing up as orphans. We first met in high school when he was mocked by others for being an orphan. He clenched his fists but dared not to retort, showing timidity and cowardice. The person reminded me of my former self, which is why I felt compelled to teach them a lesson. Back then, my classmates thought of me as a lunatic and my teachers saw me as a waste of space. Anyone who dared to bully me would face severe consequences. I told Hisui-Chow, "So what if we're orphans? The director of the orphanage is like our mother. And the other kids there are our brothers and sisters. We have no reason to feel inferior." When I couldn't stand it anymore, I'd just throw a punch to shut them up. Hisui-Chow probably had never seen a girl as fierce as me before. He stood there stunned for a while, then hesitantly clenched his fists and swung at the air a couple of times. He asked me, "Is this how you throw a punch?" I laughed and said, "If you really can't fight, just find me. I'll fight for you." Since we were both orphans, I didn't charge him any money. At first, it was just physical attraction, but over time, we found a deep connection. His face was distractingly handsome, and from the moment I met him, I was smitten. Our similar tragic backgrounds, from high school to university, from superficial appearances to sincere hearts, brought us closer. We experienced so much together and eventually fell deeply in love without reservations. If only I hadn't died in that flood, maybe we would have had a lifetime of happiness, at least. That's what I always thought in my past life. I hate being constrained. Unlike Isuecha's quiet demeanor, I always wanted to see the world's most beautiful sights, so my biggest motivation to earn money was to travel the world and free my spirit. However, during one of my trips, I encountered the flood that claimed my life. It all happened too suddenly. The bridge collapsed, the flood was fierce, and ultimately, it took many lives, including mine. When Isuechao heard about the accident, he searched tirelessly for me for 7 whole days, until my remains were unearthed. He sat on the ground, covered in mud, then broke down and wept. Afterward, he repeatedly cut his wrists, saying he didn't want me to be lonely in the afterlife, so he wanted to join me. He was hospitalized countless times. Eventually, it was the orphanage director who convinced him to carry on with the memory of me and to live well. Isuechao survived, but he was like a walking corpse. He donated all his earnings to the orphanage. After abandoning everything, he just sat by my photo, living in sorrow for years, until he suddenly passed away at a young age. So, when I found out I had been reborn, I desperately escaped the flood that was meant to take my life, gave up my dream of traveling the world, and strived to live a stable life, staying by his side and never leaving again. I thought we would live out this life simply and happily, but just 5 years later, Isuechao, who once loved me so much, cheated. This realization left me not just sad, but also in despair. Because I was pregnant, I gently touched my belly. This child was hard one. It was the baby Isuechao and I had longed for years. At first, when I was experiencing morning sickness, I thought it was just my body being weak, afraid it might end in disappointment. He didn't tell him right away. A person arrived at the hospital with a nervous heart, had their blood drawn, and then went to see the doctor. After scanning the medical record, the doctor smiled at me and said, "Congratulations, you're going to be a mother." At that moment, I was truly overjoyed, so overjoyed that I couldn't wait to get home. As soon as I left the consultation room, I wanted to share the good news with Isuechao, but I held back, because today was our 5th wedding anniversary. Isuechao had mentioned he had a gift for me, something he said I would really like. I had a good guess of what it might be. It was a crystal necklace I had long coveted but never managed to persuade the owner to sell to me. Last month, Isuechao had made a special trip abroad. Later, the owner sent me a message. She hinted subtly that my husband loved me very much, said she was willing to part with it, wishing me happiness. But now, that necklace was worn by someone else. It wasn't just the necklace. Now, even Isuechao himself was no longer mine. I went home and sat on the sofa from day into night. The steak on the table had gradually cooled, but the person who was supposed to return never did. It wasn't until 11:52, Isuechao sent me a message, saying he had to go on a sudden business trip for work, and he was already abroad. He told me not to worry. He also said we would celebrate our anniversary when he returned, and he would make up for the gift then. But not everything can be redone. I blew out the candle and dumped the cold steak into the trash bin. Perhaps I was mentally prepared, so when I saw that message, I wasn't as upset as I expected. I even felt somewhat relieved to know first. That's why I didn't cook a candlelit dinner myself, but ordered from a well-reviewed restaurant, making sure to use Isuechao's card for the delivery, if he didn't come back. The destination of this delivery was the trash. Just like him, the dean's mother always said I was stubborn since I was young. If I wanted something, I would find a way to get it. But once I felt it wasn't that important anymore, no matter how deeply I loved it before, I could let go without clinging. I glanced at the time. It was exactly midnight. I sat on the sofa, looking out towards the balcony, seeing nothing but the dark sky. I remembered adding the doctor's contact information when I returned from the hospital. He mentioned he would be on duty these days. Whether I wanted this child or not, I could tell him in advance. So, I sent him a message. I asked him, if I decide on an abortion, could you schedule the procedure soon? The doctor replied quickly. He said, if you decide and after a checkup shows no issues, the earliest we can schedule an abortion is next Tuesday. If you're sure, come to the hospital and see me. I gently touched my lower abdomen. Child, forgive me. If there isn't a happy family waiting for you, it's better to leave early and find another mom and dad. At least, it wouldn't be so painful. Before the surgery could even be arranged, I received an invitation from my alma mater. Isuechao and I didn't attend the same university. We lived at opposite ends of the same city, and could only meet on weekends. Each time we met, he would bring me green grape cakes, and I would buy him osmanthus-flavored milk tea, a specialty of my school. Isuechao was rather delicate in his tastes. He liked his milk tea very sweet, detested being out in the wind and sun, and couldn't handle the slightest hardship. That's why it's hard for me to forget the year when he found out I had an accident. He dug with his bare hands for 7 days and nights, his fingers raw and bleeding. His hands a mess of blood and mud. It pained my heart. Because the He Sui Chow I remember truly loved me deeply. However, that relationship eventually couldn't withstand the test of time. I accepted the invitation from my alma mater, but I never expected to see them again at the school. After finishing my speech on stage, a girl stood up and asked me a question with a microphone in hand. "Hello, senior. I'm a junior in the journalism department, Lu Man. My question today isn't directly related to my major, but I wonder if you're still willing to answer." I nodded, noticing the challenge in her eyes. So, she knew who I was. Lu Man smiled slightly. "I heard that you were a well-known journalist and later returned to family life for love. You've been married for 5 years. Are you happy? Are you afraid of the 7-year itch?" I gripped the microphone, trying to control my emotions. I used to be a rebellious student, unafraid of anyone or anything. But after a near-death experience and seeing He Sui Chow devastated by my death, I decided to soften my edges and become a gentle, intellectual woman. But this doesn't mean I'm willing to tolerate provocation, so, I simply responded with a light laugh. "Love is unpredictable by nature. As for the 7-year itch you mentioned, I always believe a man who is responsible for his family will not cheat. If that day does come, all I can say is that he and that mistress would deserve each other." I paused, then looked at Lu Man, who seemed a bit pale. I asked her, "Lu, as a fellow woman, do you think someone who becomes the other woman has any dignity, under everyone's gaze?" She naturally couldn't say that only those who aren't loved are mistresses, as that would definitely provoke backlash. She could only grit her teeth, nod difficultly, and force a smile. Perhaps frustrated, Lu Man couldn't help but add, "But if that day really comes, as a wife, I think she's also quite useless for not being able to keep her husband's heart." I laughed. "That's still better than knowingly being a mistress, willing to settle for leftovers without considering if they're tainted. People like that are merely picking up what others have discarded and are smug about it. Of course, men like that are no better, easily swayed by a mere gesture. How is that different from me throwing a bone to a stray dog, which then wags its tail at me?" Then, pretending to be shocked, I covered my mouth with my hand. "My mistake. How could I compare stray dogs with cheating men? Dogs are loyal companions to humans, while cheaters and mistresses, the trash of society, not even worth a second glance because it's so filthy." "Junior sister Lu, do you think I'm right?" I looked at Lu Man with a smile, my pride not allowing me to show even a hint of vulnerability in front of her. The long-lost fierceness felt surprisingly comforting. Perhaps from the start, I shouldn't have tried to change myself for He Sui Chow, but in this silent battle, none of us won. He Sui Chow cheated. That just proves he didn't love me enough, so I didn't win. Lu Man knew it all along and was still proud, but she's destined to be despised, which also doesn't count as winning. Both of us have failed, but I have a clear conscience. I loved He Sui Chow sincerely and fervently. He betrayed me, and Lu Man knew everything, so, I'm not the one at fault, they are. After finishing my speech, I walked off the stage. Perhaps it was on purpose. From a distance, I saw Lu Man, and He Sui Chow with his back to me. He held a large bouquet of roses, bent over, and pinched her face, but Lu Man looked greatly wronged and cried in his arms. He Sui Chow held her, repeatedly soothing her in a gentle voice. I stood still. Lu Man seemed to glance at me, then looked at He Sui Chow, and spoke loudly enough for me to hear. She asked, "Sui Chow, why are you so good to me?" He Sui Chow wiped the tears from her eyes, his tone still gentle. He said, "Have you forgotten? I told you about a dream I had repeatedly before meeting you. In the dream, there was a girl who fell into water, and I desperately tried to save her, but she disappeared. I was very sad in the dream, so sad I almost wanted to die. Then I met you, and the first time we met, you accidentally fell into the water, and you really resembled that girl. Maybe, you are the girl from my dream. And our meeting was fate, so, it turned out to be this way." I stood there, unsure whether to laugh or cry, with the memories of my past life. I knew this was not just a dream, but a real pain I had experienced in my previous life. Are his memories of his past life gradually returning? He Sui Chow said he loved the girl in his dream, and then fell in love with Lu Man. But he doesn't know, the girl in the dream was me. But now, what does it matter? The betrayal is a fact. Suddenly, a sharp pain surged in my abdomen. I couldn't help but bend over, clutching my stomach in excruciating pain. Lu Man laughed, tiptoed to embrace He Sui Chow, and provocatively looked at me. She asked He Sui Chow, "Who is more important to you, me or Wen Qian?" He Sui Chao didn't have time to answer, because suddenly, I felt a warm flow surge out, sliding down my legs. There were exclamations, nervousness, and people rushing to help me, and at this moment, someone turned their head. As our eyes met, panic was all I could see in his. When Qian, I stood still, watching him sprint toward me. I've always wanted to know, one day, when he finds out that the girl in his dreams is me, what would his expression be? He approached me quickly, his expression filled with panic. Qian, why are you here? I wore a long black dress today that reached my ankles. At that moment, I felt a sharp pain in my lower abdomen. Blood trickled down my legs, staining my white shoes red as it dripped to my ankles. The passing classmates couldn't help but gasp when they saw this, but he, merely turning around by chance after hearing the commotion, had just noticed me. He didn't see that I was bleeding. His eyes flitted anxiously between me and Lu Manman. Qian, this is a misunderstanding. Actually, today I have, before he could finish. Lu Manman suddenly fell to the ground not far from us. A cry of alarm. This made he, who was still trying to explain in panic, immediately forget to cover up and ran straight to her. Man, are you okay? He helped her up. I could see that Lu Manman had a severe scrape on her knee, now swollen and bleeding profusely, looking quite serious. Lu Manman shook her head, our eyes meeting as she shed a couple more tears. It hurts a bit, can you take me to the medical office first? He's spine stiffened suddenly. Perhaps it was only then he realized that his wife, whom he had officially married, was standing not far away, watching him fuss over another woman. He turned around, his expression apologetic. I'll take Man to the hospital first, let's talk when I get back tonight. He didn't give me a chance to speak. After saying this, he carried Lu Man away without looking back. From beginning to end, he never saw that at this very moment, I was bleeding. Losing our child, I took a deep breath as the pain in my lower abdomen intensified. I could feel the child slipping away from me. The pain almost made me unable to stand. I grabbed a passing student by the hand. Excuse me, could you please call 120 for me? I was in unbearable pain. The child was gone. The doctor said the pregnancy was weak to begin with, and coupled with my anxiety, it couldn't be saved. She even tried to comfort me by saying there would be other chances in the future, but honestly, I wasn't that upset. I had already decided not to keep the baby. The miscarriage due to an accident was just another way to achieve the result I wanted. Perhaps, the child also felt that being born into a broken home would have been suffocating. Regardless, the only connection between he and me in this world was now completely severed. Because of the miscarriage, I stayed in the hospital overnight and received no calls or messages from he. This meant that not only did he not come home last night, but he was also with Lu Man all along. I recovered quickly due to my youth and could go home the next day. I didn't bring much with me, and when I left cleanly. Apart from myself, there is nothing else. It must be fate, or perhaps even the heavens couldn't stand to watch. They wanted me to make a decision quickly, so, at the turn of the hospital corridor, I bumped into He Sui, who was in a hurry. He was holding a pink water bottle and a bag of breakfast, though he had changed his clothes and wasn't wearing the white shirt from yesterday. Some things, if you think too deeply about them, only bring discomfort, but fate had it otherwise. He froze, trying to hide the water bottle and breakfast, but he realized that this action was somewhat childish, panic mixed with guilt, and in those few seconds, I watched him make numerous vain gestures. In the end, he just smiled, a guilty smile. He asked me, Qian, what brings you to the hospital? Is there something you need to do here? His question made me laugh out loud. Really, I couldn't control my laughter. I told him, something to do. I came here for fun. Does that sound believable to you? He Sui's expression became serious. Silently, he said, don't beat around the bush. Let's solve whatever it is. You go home first. I promise I'll be there before noon. And we can talk about everything else later. Why put it off? Are you in a hurry to bring your little lover breakfast? It was early morning, and the hospital corridor was already bustling with people. People love gossip. At the mention of a little lover, they were all ears, looking back every few steps. He Sui, under the scrutiny of curious gazes, his ears turned red. When Qian is not what you think, and Man and I are just ordinary friends, don't think of others so vilely. When did you become so unreasonable? Look, every man caught cheating, even faced with undeniable evidence, still tries to deflect blame, as if self-deception could alleviate his guilt. But before I could speak, a door to a nearby ward opened, and Lu Man limped out. She was wearing a hospital gown, but as a college freshman, she couldn't hide her youthful vitality. Lu Man approached me with an innocent smile. Qian, you must have misunderstood He Senior. We are just ordinary friends. We met at school because of my studies. If you have any grievances, feel free to vent them on me, but please don't embarrass him in front of so many people. Okay, such an understanding little lover, no wonder he was fond of her. But at that moment, the only thing I wanted was to divorce Hisui. Lu Manman is just a sophomore. If her classmates and teachers knew that she, who looks decent, is involved with a married man, how could she face anyone at school? I spoke softly, but loud enough for both of them to hear clearly, the moment my words fell. I saw the expressions on both Lu Manman's and Hisui's faces change dramatically, especially Lu Manman, her composure replaced by nervousness and fear. She dropped her pleasant facade and directly challenged me. Are you planning to ruin me at school? Wen Qian, you're too malicious. Hisui chimed in, yes, that's too harsh. Qian, why must you act like this? Man and I are just friends. Don't spread rumors and tarnish a young girl's reputation so carelessly. Don't you think you're being too harsh? If it weren't for the fact that I haven't hit anyone in years, and if it weren't for my current physical weakness, I would really like to scratch his face right now. But it's not too late, there will be an opportunity. I took several deep breaths. There was still a dull pain in my abdomen, and I dared not breathe too deeply. I just quietly watched Hisui face the exposure of his clumsy lies. 5 days ago, I came to the hospital and saw you rushing in with her in your arms, admitting in front of the doctor that you two are a couple. Yesterday, you said you were going on a business trip, but instead, you went to the school and were seen cuddling with Lu Manman. Hisui, I'm not blind, I can see. If you had simply admitted it, I might have respected you more. But instead, you fabricate so many lies, pinning baseless accusations on me, calling me malicious and bad. Don't you think that's despicable? Saying this, I felt somewhat sad. The person I once loved so deeply, who could have died for me, who could have lived in melancholy for a lifetime, in the end, without those hindrances and stumbling blocks, our feelings seem worthless. Between parting and life and death, one can't have it all. Maybe I'm just as those classmates used to say, born under an unlucky star, and thus doomed to unhappiness. I tried to control my emotions and keep a calm appearance. Hisui, it has come to this point. What's the use of continuing to hide the truth? Perhaps my words were too straightforward. Hisui, who had been vehemently denying everything, finally fell silent. He knows in his heart whether I am lying or deceiving him. He looked up at me, his arrogance subdued, his face filled with emotion and guilt. He opened his mouth to explain, but I stopped him first. I don't want this to get uglier. Since it has come to this, let's get a divorce. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw Lu Manman laughing. Hisui actually hesitated and seemed incredulous. Wen Qian, we've known each other for so many years. Do you really want a divorce just like that? Don't you have a heart? What else? I found it ridiculous. Otherwise, should I just keep our marriage? While you keep a mistress outside, maybe when she gets tired of you, you'll find someone new. And me, I should just sit at home waiting for you, crying every day. Would that make me a person with a heart? After saying this, I made one last request. In this marriage, you are the one at fault, so you must leave with nothing. Do you have a problem with that? I'm not foolish. What's gone is gone, but the savings we've built up over the years, the comfortable life we've finally achieved, I can't just hand that over too. How could this be possible? Lu Manman objected without thinking, holding tightly to Hisui's hand, then began to stir the pot. Sui Chao, after all these years of hard work, how can you give all your money to someone else? How are we supposed to live after that? I laughed. Didn't you fall for him because he's good at making money? If that's the case, then why don't you start from scratch with him? Or do you just want to reap the benefits without going through the struggle? Putting someone on a pedestal like this makes it hard for them to step down without losing face. Even if they feel irritated, they have no choice but to grit their teeth and agree. Just like now, Lu Manman gritted her teeth and sneered. I love Hisui Chao the person, not his money. Even if he ends up with nothing, I'm willing to support him in making a comeback. It's just heartbreaking and feels so undeserved that he ended up marrying a woman like you who only cares about money. Seeing money and opening your eyes is still better than deceiving yourself and others. I responded softly, then took out my phone from my pocket and played the video I recorded yesterday. Before coming to the hospital yesterday, I made a point to get a video from one of the onlooking students. The video was comprehensive, documenting the entire incident. I played the video directly for them. My demands are only two. First, to divorce Hisui Chao. Second, for Hisui Chao to leave without taking anything. If these demands are not met, I cannot guarantee where this video will end up. Pushed to this point, Lu Manman became somewhat uncontrollable, reaching out to snatch my phone, but I dodged her in time. Lu Manman, since you did it, you must be brave enough to face the consequences. Don't think about using excuses later on. We're both journalism students. We know how powerful words can be. We also know that even without verification, enough voices can crush someone. Moreover, you both know very well whether you have done something against morals, don't you? It wasn't a threat, it was a fact, their fault. With the video in hand, even if just for Lu Manman's reputation, He Sui-Chao had no choice but to compromise and apply for a divorce at the Civil Affairs Office. As expected, there was a 30-day cooling-off period. He Sui-Chao, I don't care if you choose to wander or stay with another woman, from today on, the house we lived in is mine, and you have no part in it. After these 30 days, we'll be divorced, and I don't want any contact ever again. Let's act as if we never knew each other. I've never been one to cling to my ex or keep in touch after a breakup. Once I decide to cut ties, it's for life, never to see each other again. He Sui-Chao didn't respond immediately. He glanced at Lu Manman, who was still waiting in the car, his expression complex. Qian, does it really have to be this way? He spoke with a sad tone, as if the wrongdoer was me. It was you who cheated, and now you ask me this. Don't you find yourself too hypocritical? I would have respected him more if he had openly admitted to falling in love with Lu Manman and agreed to leave everything behind, never to see me again. That way, at least he'd be straightforward about his feelings. But now, I only felt more disappointed. Perhaps that summer when I saw him being bullied, I shouldn't have helped, only to end up sacrificing myself. After parting unhappily at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Office, I didn't go home. Instead, I checked into a hotel, planning to stay for a month, and hired a caretaker. Having just had a miscarriage, even with a strong constitution, I needed proper rest. The hotel allowed cooking, and the caretaker would come 3 times a day to prepare meals and clean. I spent my days lying in bed, browsing my phone, looking at landscapes from around the world, reawakening my long silent heart. If I had never met He Sui-Chao, I should be traveling the world, seeing every mountain, river, and stream, rather than mourning my lost love in a hotel room. She didn't persist too much but wanted to make her presence felt around me. So she added me on WeChat using a secondary account without revealing her identity directly. However, my intuition told me that this suggestive yet unfamiliar account must belong to her. Moments on WeChat, June 24th. He wasn't in high spirits today, but with me by his side, he managed to smile. Photo, a half-smiling face, June 25th. The weather was great today. I convinced him to take me to the amusement park. He admitted he was a bit scared of heights, but I confidently assured him that I could protect him. It felt great to be able to protect the one I love. Photo, a carousel with us making heart shapes together, June 26th. It drizzled a bit, so we stayed in bed all day and watched a bunch of movies. Photo, a messy bed, July 24th. Everything ends tomorrow. After that, it will just be us, no one else. Photo, a victory sign, sitting on the couch. I took screenshots of these 20+ moments and saved them all. When I got to the last one, I paused. Couldn't help but zoom in on the photo, and clearly saw the layout of the room behind her. It suddenly struck me as ridiculous. He Sui and I had chosen every brick and tile of that home together, not to mention the familiar sofa and the furniture I had carefully selected. No one knew it better than I did. At this moment, Lu Manman was lying on my couch, sleeping where I once slept. It was nauseating. I ran out of bed barefoot, covering my mouth, and rushed to the bathroom to throw up. But nothing came out, just the discomfort of dry heaving. Tomorrow would be the day I could finally get a divorce, so I didn't make a scene but waited for dawn, waiting for the encounter in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. He Sui was punctual. He wore a white shirt today and his hair was meticulously styled, clearly prepared for the occasion. I sneered, dressing so formally. Too bad divorce and marriage can't happen on the same day. My sarcastic tone made passersby glance over. He Sui pursed his lips, staring at me for a long while until I walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau. Then, he suddenly called out to me, Qian. I paused, and he continued, I never wanted a divorce. How ridiculous. He betrays me and then says he doesn't want a divorce. Does he expect to have it all his way? He Sui strode up to me, earnestly saying, we've been together since high school, supporting each other all these years. I truly love you. Regarding Manman, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's an obsession that has seeped into my bones. If I don't act on it, it leaves me restless and sleepless. Qian, you haven't experienced this helplessness, this obsession. You don't understand how I feel. No, I understand. I've seen his helplessness, known his obsessions. That's why I was willing to give up my dreams, to cut off my own wings, just to stay by his side, guarding the peaceful happiness he desired most, to be the perfect wife in his heart. But what was the result? I couldn't help but close my eyes. Perhaps there was still a trace of malice in my heart. The conversation about past lives has become increasingly clear to Hisui Chow. He is starting to match many details and might soon remember everything. But what would the scene look like when he realizes the person he loves is not the one beside him, considering what has been said today? I am curious and waiting for that day to arrive. However, I must first hold my ground. For I need to divorce first, and without the legal status of marriage, I will simply be myself. The divorce procedure wasn't complicated. In no time, I had the divorce certificate in hand, freeing myself from the identity of Hisui Chow's wife. Leaving the civil affairs office, I directly got into Hisui Chow's car. He was startled, and I looked at him and said, "I want to go back to the house we used to live in." "Aren't you going there too?" All the property was agreed to be mine, including that house. However, he had let Lu Man move in while I was away. Seeing my discovery, Hisui Chow quickly explained, Man had some conflicts with her roommates these past few days. Her family is out of town, and she, being young and without much money, couldn't afford a hotel. Since you weren't coming home for a while, I thought it'd be okay for her to stay there temporarily. I even reminded her to pack up her things and return to school today. He said this so naturally, not seeing anything wrong with the situation. If I would have been upset about this in the past, now, it was anger after disappointment, intense anger. I couldn't help but rub my eyes. Perhaps I was blind before, having fallen in love with someone I shouldn't have, or maybe being reborn wasn't about fixing past regrets but to show me that my relationship with Hisui Chow was doomed to parting by death or separation, never to be fully realized, so I shouldn't force it. Thus, I didn't speak but followed him back to the house. I no longer wanted to call it a home. When I rang the doorbell, Lu Man came running barefoot to open the door, wearing my pajamas. She was even holding my favorite doll, appearing at the door with a playful expression. "Sui Chow, you're back." But before she could finish, she saw me standing behind him. She was startled and retorted, "What are you doing here?" According to the divorce agreement, Hisui Chow left with nothing. This house naturally belongs to me, so, she was intruding. Hearing this, Lu Man's eyes teared up immediately, and she looked timidly at Hisui Chow, quickly starting to cry. "Sui Chow, I've talked to my roommates. They still don't want me back at school. I have nowhere else to go. If I can't stay here a bit longer, I'll really be left homeless." All of Hisui Chow's assets, including several properties we owned together, were now in my name. He had nothing, and had even rented a place with his salary paid in advance, but it surely wasn't as comfortable as this house. Lu Man was trying to argue for her significance right in front of me, as if that would prove her importance. Just like now, Hisui Chow looked at her, his eyes wavering, but ultimately he couldn't help but say to me, Qian, I've given you all the money and houses, but she has nowhere to go. Could you let her stay a few more days, just a few days, without a second thought?" I immediately agreed. My straightforward response took Hisui and Lu Man by surprise, but I didn't do anything else. I just went back to my bedroom, claiming I needed to take some important documents, and then left the room under their watchful eyes, calm and composed. After that, I went to Lu Man's university. It was also my alma mater. Familiar with the place, I knew when the office was busiest and when classmates would likely appear. I brought with me the video I had obtained that day. And also, after returning to my room earlier, I had secretly installed a camera. Over the past hour, they had been coming in and out of the room, embracing and kissing. The evidence was overwhelming, yet I said nothing, just played the video on my phone on loop. Then I sat in a chair, crying silently. The office was bustling, and students frequently came to see the counselor or handle paperwork. At those moments, I would lift my phone higher to make sure everyone could see. Oh. And there was the ultrasound report and the proof of my miscarriage. I had clearly marked the dates. Every single piece of evidence was undeniable. When I got to the airport, Hisui called me. As soon as I answered, I heard his roaring voice. "Wen Qian, I never thought you could be such a venomous woman. You had promised me that as long as I agreed to leave everything behind, you wouldn't release that video. Yet, you went straight to Man's school and ruined her reputation. You're a woman yourself. You know how important reputation is to a woman. Don't you think you're being too harsh? And to install cameras in the room, your actions constitute an invasion of privacy, a violation of mine and Man's rights to our images. According to the law, I can sue you. And, Wen Qian, you've driven Man to the brink of suicide by jumping into the river. Do you know that, if you have even a shred of decency left, go back to the school now and clarify things, claim it was all a misunderstanding, and help restore her reputation. Otherwise, I will call the police." I rubbed my ears. His yelling had been loud and painful. I told him, "You've already signed the divorce papers. According to the law, that house is mine. So what's wrong with installing surveillance in my own home? You couldn't resist being affectionate in what used to be my bedroom. I happened to see it, and naturally, I had to seek an explanation from her school, didn't I? Also, I did promise you before, but I indeed changed my mind. What can you do about it? Call the police. Go ahead, Heisui. Don't tell me, with all your education, you can't see right from wrong. If you call the police, who do you think will end up embarrassed? I think you know that better. In this relationship, I am not at fault, and I bear no responsibility for it. But Heisui, you have completely shattered the love I once had for you in my heart, so I made that call. Hello, I need to send an express SF shipment, one that can arrive today. Regarding the items, I have divided them into 2 parts and had already placed them at the courier station. One part was sent to Heisui Chao, containing 2 documents. A medical record confirming a pregnancy and another documenting a miscarriage. I have clearly marked the dates on them, which I believe he remembers. The other part, which is more significant, contains a USB drive sent to Heisui Chao's rival at the same company. After that, I turned off my phone, packed my luggage, and went to another city. I thought about it for a long time. The bond with Heisui Chao deepened because of that flood. Similarly, in my previous life as a spirit, I stayed by Heisui Chao's side and remembered most of what happened in the following years. For instance, in 2 months, this city will experience heavy rainfall followed by a major flood, though not as severe as the one 5 years ago. Still, it will cause considerable damage, collapsing houses, and resulting in deaths. Knowing the time and place, I came here and wrote many anonymous letters, ensuring my own safety, and sent them to the local emergency management bureau. I researched extensively and wrote the letters formally, suggesting preemptive warnings and precautions, advising the evacuation of residents to minimize casualties. In short, I did my utmost to save those people, and I never left. During this time, Heisui Chao called me many times, but I did not answer. I didn't read any of his messages either, after so many years together, understanding each other's personalities well. The package I sent the day I left was enough to leave him with a lifetime of guilt. The child that was once eagerly anticipated, the day she was discovered, her father was with another woman, and the day she left, her father also abandoned her mother, taking another woman with him. So, guilt, a troubled conscience indeed. He called and repeatedly said sorry in his messages, ultimately to make himself feel better. And why should I give him that chance? I am somewhat spiteful, unable to learn forgiveness, only wishing that he is unhappy for the rest of his life. But I never expected that there would come a day when we would meet again. On the day of the flood outbreak, official evacuations had already been arranged, yet some people refused to leave, needing help. I used my memories from a past life to locate those who had been trapped for a long time. I went days and nights without sleep, just when I thought it was almost over. I realized the last person I saved was Heisui Chao. He was clinging to a piece of driftwood, having swallowed several mouthfuls of water, continually calling for help. He was also holding a child, who wore a blue dress and clung tightly around his neck, crying in fear. I am somewhat spiteful and wanted to ignore him, but I couldn't pretend not to see the child. Over these 5 years, I had learned to swim and picked up some life-saving skills these past few days, successfully rescuing them. The moment I was saved, Heisui embraced me tightly. Qian, I remember everything now. Outside the hospital, Heisui stood in front of me. He was still in his wet clothes, looking disheveled and miserable. Qian, when did you remember? I interrupted him before he could continue. Heisui opened his mouth, then couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. He said, I've been having dreams about it for a long time. Later, when I met Lu Man, I thought she was the girl in my dreams. Then, when we were about to divorce, I dreamt almost every night, but I couldn't make out the face in my dreams. After getting the divorce papers, Lu Man jumped into the river, and I jumped in after her. That night I got a high fever and was hospitalized. Then I saw the medical report you sent, and that night I dreamt a lot. I still couldn't see the face clearly, but I was sure the girl in my dreams wasn't Lu Man. Later, some memories slowly started to come back. This city was about to flood. I wasn't sure if it was real or just a dream, so I wanted to verify it, and indeed, I encountered the flood. When I was swept into the flood, I saw a little girl in a blue dress, much like the girl from my dreams. At that moment, I closed my eyes, and your image appeared in front of me. He paused, then suddenly laughed, as if mocking himself. Then, it was like a lifetime passed in my mind, and this lifetime I begged for a long time to finally achieve completeness, but in the end, I still lost it. By the end of his words, Heisui was in tears, his eyes a mix of resentment and sorrow as he tried to reach out to touch me. but I avoided his touch. He sway. I also thought this lifetime was a chance given by fate for you, but I never imagined, maybe this is fate telling me that separation by death is our destined outcome. In death, we remain in each other's memories as the beautiful images we once were. But now that we are both alive, the sacred feelings we once held have been degraded by you. He sway. Regret isn't enough to start over again. There's no future for us. When he claimed to be Lu Manman's boyfriend, when I was pregnant, yet he found excuses to be with Lu Manman, when I had a miscarriage, and he was still with Lu Manman, and many other nights that I didn't know about. Those disgusting nights are absolutely intolerable. Listening to my words, tears slid down He Sway's face as he shook his head incessantly. Qian, I just chose the wrong person, but from the beginning to the end, I loved you. So what? Should I just forgive your betrayal? But I couldn't do it, couldn't be magnanimous and forgive him who once betrayed me, so I told him, because you betrayed me first, I want you to leave with nothing. And I even used your worst enemy to make you completely lose your job. All your efforts over the years are destroyed, and now you have nothing. This is your punishment, and all your current pain and regret, every night for the rest of your life. You will remember them in your midnight dreams. He sway. I will not forgive you, and neither will the child who was supposed to come into this world and leave. From now on, you will live a life of pain and regret. I plan to continue pursuing my own dreams, traveling the world. I've seen it all. With a hefty balance in my bank account, I have enough to support my dreams without struggling in place. Occasionally, I receive news from old acquaintances. He Sway Chow and Lu Manman ultimately broke up. I caused a scene at her school, and given her already strained relationship with her roommate took advantage of the situation. The entire school ended up knowing about it. And it even became a hot topic in our city. The high level of discussion led to Lu Manman being persuaded to leave the school and return to her hometown. The girl who once stayed up late night after night solving problems, striving to escape the mountains and change her fate, has returned to square one. As for He Sway Chow, he had already made many enemies in the business world. Now, someone has seized the initiative, crushing him completely without any chance of a comeback. It's safe to say his chances of rising again are gone. Later, I vaguely heard news about him. It was said that he was targeted for revenge, with many needles stabbed into him, leaving him bleeding profusely and terrifying passers-by. After being rushed to the hospital, the rescue was too late. He became paralyzed in all limbs, a complete invalid. But none of this concerns me. I am in another country, in a place where spring is in bloom, watching the rivers flow and the mountains stand majestic. My life, perhaps, is just beginning.